just like the Daytona 500 right here at the Snowball Derby from NAS Pensacola and those Saberhawk Jets. We're also delighted to see DJ Vanderlei here. That was a terrible dirt mini sprint car accident he suffered 2 years ago in Texas. He and his family have persevered and persevered and persevered. He's still the engineer for a NASCAR team, and we were delighted to have one of the best drivers that ever raced on this track here with us, DJ Vanderlei, today. Are you ready? With the most famous words in motorsports, our Grand Marshal, Dan Shugart.
Drivers, start your engines. This is a feeling like no other. The cars aligned on the front stretch here at Flags Speedway. 36 strong of the best super late model racers in the country from all over the country, from the West Coast to the East Coast. These guys are banned to the bone, and they will be competing for 300 laps today in the Snowball Derby. We have champions from all over the place. It is the experience versus the young guys here today. Those trying to make a name for themselves and get to the big leagues of NASCAR. And then others that are trying to go after another Snowball Derby like it. I tell you what, I'm blessed to be here. This one is special. The 57th running of the Snowball Derby at Flags Speedway.
Bob, we echo those sentiments as well. We are all blessed to be here, as are the fans who are getting set to enjoy 300 laps of the most important short track action of the year, the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. Hi everyone, I'm Eric Brennan alongside of Adam Mackey, and we're joined by 2024 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year and Carson Hocevar. Adam, you've been here now 15 times. What is the level of energy that you're feeling here right now today?
The energy is huge. It builds up during the week. It's been a great week of racing here in 2024, and it all leads up to the big one. The one today in the battle for the Tom Dawson Trophy. 4 former winners in the field today, 6 rookies making their first Snowball Derby start.
Carson, you've run in this race before. You're taking it in from a different perspective, joining us. Thank you for that. I mean, look at this pageantry. What are the nerves right now for some of these drivers?
Man, I don't know if the nerves are with the drivers or is they're with the crew chiefs right now, because, you know, obviously there's a high prestige as a driver, but the drivers kind of know what they got. Their job is to just drive the race car. The crew chiefs is the one that's most stressed right now until they drop the green flag, because they don't know 100% what they're going to get. It's warmer today than it has been for the last 2 weeks that they've been testing, you know, in advance or during the week. But these crew chiefs have so many options. We talk about how much practice was in it. There's so much practice involved that they have so many options. They've tried everything, that they're bits and pieces. When they're at the end of it, they're bits and pieces of it that they're working and taking. You know, we were good in this run. We were good in this run. They're taking bits and pieces. I think most nervous right now are the crew chiefs. Drivers, they know what lines to hit by now, but they're going to be a little antsy and wanting to get going. Track position, that's their nervous part. Their cars, crew chiefs, are up and down pit road real nervous right now.
They've mentioned all that practice over the last week or a week plus for some of these teams that came down and did testing, but now we've got different weather than we've had all week long. There's more rubber on the track than we've had all week long. There's been so many laps turned in practice and in races. How much does the track change on a day like today? Even though there's no sunshine, it may peak out, and then it's going to really warm up into the 70s.
I was down pit road, and everybody said how tight the field was. Everybody was so super close that it's going to take one little ounce of rubber added to the racetrack, a little bit of a tire temp change, track change a little bit as the race goes from day to night. The track gets 300 laps of rubber that anybody could show up and just get a little bit of an edge. A tiniest half a tenth a lap will put you out in front of this field with no doubt with how close it is. It's just going to be if that all matches up at the right time. and making the right adjustments. Everybody, I've gotten mixed reviews. Everybody thinks it's going to be tight. Everybody thinks it's going to be free. It's who gets it right and who gets it right at the right time.
Second closest field that we have ever had, top 30 Snowball Derby qualifying. Riding on board with last night's Snowflake 100 winner in Stephen Nasse. For more on this number 51 car, let's throw it down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado.
It comes down to momentum for Stephen Nasse. Last night he won his very first Snowflake 100. It's a 100-lap pro late model race with a different car, different team. But the attitude and the thrill of winning here has not waned on his Anthony Campi Racing team. He is a driver that is expected to be in contention today again at the Snowball Derby. He was 18 laps shy of his first Snowball Derby a year ago when he and Bubba Pollard made contact, costing them both their first chance at the Tom Dawson Trophy. He raced from 24th to win last night. He is starting 30th today. He's talked about how we will put a show on for the fans, but this Anthony Campi team, they're prepared for whatever may lie, and Nasse is confident and as well nervous about how he can race his way forward from well back in the field. Bob Dillner.
Bubba Pollard has been the king of super late models for the past couple of decades. He's the winningest driver here during the Blizzard Series at Flags Speedway. He's got a ton of championships here as well, but he has not won the Snowball Derby in 17 tries. Could today be the day for the first time ever? He does have a teammate in Sammy Smith. He's got 3 new cars that he brought down here. Bubba Pollard has thrown the kitchen sink at this race here today. It's a race that he wants to win bad. Does not ever want to retire until hoisting that Tom Dawson Trophy, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen. As you see the cars continuing to circulate on their parade and pace laps, all of the energy, all of the effort, all of the work and anticipation bringing us to this moment. By 9 a.m. this morning, all the race teams were told their haulers have to be removed from the infield. By 9:05, the infield was lined with many fans who already started their tailgates, parties, and their predictions, which we will have the opportunity to share with you in a short while. But first, the green flag. Glad you're with us on Flow Racing. Ty Majeski brings us down for the start, and the 57th annual Snowball Derby is green.
Outside bumper.
Majeski takes the lead, dropping under crossover move in turn 4 already. Honeycutt wants to lead lap 1, but it's Ty Majeski, the 2-time winner out front.
That was really impressive by Honeycutt to be able to do that. Low air pressures you see with Majeski, maybe bottomed out a little bit as they head down to 3 and 4s. We got a yellow on the racetrack.
Connor Jones has spun off turn number 4 on the first lap of this race. Said during driver introductions he wasn't quite sure how things were going to unfold. I don't think the Jones Utilities team and organization thought that this would be a possibility on the opening go-around, as he is pretty much nosed up against the inside wall.
It's been a tough week for Connor Jones. He did qualify into the Flake. He had to run the last chance race for the Derby, but one of 11 drivers racing in the Derby and the Flake as we take a look at what happened for Connor Jones on the Flow Racing replay here in just a moment as Jones gets it righted, and we'll get rolling once again. Take a look. Connor Jones further toward the right side of the screen, gets some contact from behind, but I think it was an accordion style deal, and Caden Quapple there had nowhere to go.
I think the car in front of Jones was at a Brent Cruz, but the stack up may have started a little bit further ahead. And Carson, the vantage point in these race cars, you also own one of these chassis that Chase Pincinel ran yesterday in the pro race. Is it a little bit difficult to see through a couple of cars in front of you when that stack up happens?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's hard to tell, honestly, especially too with the beginning of the race and everything. It's so tough. Everybody's stacked up. You know, crew chief, spotters, everybody's just getting in the mix, trying to find their rhythm as well, trying to find a gap and you know, just try and, you know, everybody has a different agenda of how they're going to attempt that race, especially on lap 1.
You mentioned the nervousness of some of the crews. Well, we only went a lap before we had a yellow, so they don't know how their cars are going to be yet. It was an impressive move for Honeycutt to try to do the crossover to take the lead back. I think that's just Honeycutt saying, you gave me the opening on the bottom of 3. I'd really love to lead lap 1 of a Snowball Derby, and Honeycutt's had a great week. He has raced in 4 different events this week, picked up the win in the trucks, fell out with a DNF in the modifieds the other night, but this is the big one, and he's had a great effort so far this week.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about saw a lot of rooster tails. Track's a little dirty. It's going to be cleaner on this restart. Pressures were low on Majetski. I think the only person, or the main person that was frustrated with that yellow was Caden Honeycutt, because he's like, man, I had it. I had the opposite line. The bottom's going to be a place to be, especially early in this race, as the track's dirty. They're going to clean it off, but it's going to start, it's going to take a little bit for the top to or top to clean off, but track's going to be green, track's going to be fast. So when it's fast, the bottom's really dominant. So with Honeycutt being able to cross over, we're going to see that a lot, and people are going to be able to bail as we see Caden Kvapil down on pit road trying to fix that damage.
And when you talk about the track being dirty, it's not that they didn't go out and sweep it or blow it off overnight, but there's nothing like getting 36 cars out on the racetrack up to speed. And in fact, the track has had plenty of help getting the track clean and dried this week with the rain that we had on Thursday. Owasso Speedway brought their jet dryers, had the Talladega jet dryer here. NASCAR bringing one of the Air Tundras here to dry the track. So they definitely had it cleaned off, but it's still nothing like putting 36 cars at speed. It's going to bring that dust out of the cracks that didn't get picked up by the blowers.
Yeah, Eric talked about, we took so many haulers out of the racetrack. That takes that dirt out on the racetrack. Tailgaters come in, they bring that track on the racetrack. But we put the race cars on the racetrack for an hour. They can't keep the Air Titans going. They can't keep it going, but the wind still keeps going. And you see trees behind you, whatever the case may be. I know when we go to Winchester, there's trees down the backstretch. You're always worried about the leaves. They do their best, but there's the wind keeps blowing, it nonstop. There's going to be something. We had so many fans. They bring that dirt. There's just little bits and pieces that you could just show up, and it just takes a lap or two. But that lap or two, I guarantee this restart's going to be a little different, as well as Majetski. He's going to be a little bit more aware, but he might have a little bit more temp, or he's working his tires in a little bit more this time around.
And they only have one lap in anger to try to dust the track off that first time by when the spin happened by of Jones. Jones and Kvapil, the two cars that followed the rear, they both started back on row 17 after racing their way in through the last chance race, and it is Majetski who is the control car. It'll be interesting, Adam, to see if Honeycutt could try to size up that move again on what will be the second attempt to get this race underway. 6 laps in the books.
One lap of green before the spin for Jones. Back underway in the restart zone in turn 4. Majetski with a good restart. Now it's Honeycutt will try to get to the bottom, but here comes the 62 of Sawalich. Looks good. Bottom lane through turn 1 and 2. Honeycutt, great run off of the second corner. As the race wears on, the tires wear, you can make that outside lane work.
Sawalich trying to keep the fender inside of Honeycutt off for Majetski, clear by a little more than a car length. Here comes Sawalich all the way down to the inside wall. That's going to be the theme pretty much all race long. And behind them, Connor O'Kresick, one of the feel-good stories of the Derby so far this weekend. They broke a shock mount in the final practice leading up to qualifying. Got the car repaired, got him back out on the racetrack for just one run with a car that didn't show a lot of pace. Not only did he time his way into the field, he timed himself into the top 5, and he just got himself a spot up to 4th.
Connor O'Kresick, amazing run in qualifying. He was not fast in practice, and when it comes to the qualifying runs, you're always looking for, and you've been in this position before, Carson, trying to find that little bit of magic for your run, and somehow that 14 team found it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to do, but we see a train on the bottom. Anybody that could be lower than the next guy is going to get around him, as we see Trayton Lapsevich. He was on the bottom, but he wasn't on the yellow line. 28 of Butcher able to roll around him, and it looked like he was chained to a post at Lapsevich car. They're right around the bottom. David Gillen, we're seeing in the picture, super interesting story with him. Brand new race car he built over the night. But Trayton Lapsevich, I got my eyes on him. He's done such a good job. I think he's got a great future, as we see side-by-side battle again with Caden Honeycutt down into 1.
Honeycutt now on the inside of the 62, opposite of what they were about 2 laps ago, and he'll make the pass with ease off 2. Look at Sawalich, though, on the binders pretty hard, not quite to the back bumper of Honeycutt, but that will pull O'Kresick and Plybon into the mix, second on back.
11 starts in the Snowball Derby for Ty Majetski, and this is the 8th time that he's led in a Snowball Derby with the 2 wins. Could have possibly had a couple of more back in the live pit stop days as we watch some of the battles at the tail end of the top 5. Hayden Plybon right now, the 55, has it in the 5th spot. Derek Thorne started 7th, didn't qualify as well as we thought he would in this tight field. Looks he has a really good race car, Carson.
Yeah, for the folks at home, be being a race car driver and doing this race, you always seem to find lower. It's the name of the game. We're on the apron, under the apron, hitting the inside wall, everything we can do as we got a car around. That's Nick Loden in turn 2, I believe.
Second caution of the race coming here with 14 laps in the books. Ty Majeski has been the leader since we got the race restarted following yellow number 1 in both instances, evidently involving single car spins. The left side of Loden's car looks no worse for the wear. We'll try to get a glimpse of the right side here. As you mentioned, Carson is happening over in the second corner with Loden getting this car righted. Only his second ever super late model start.
Yeah, Nick Loden, I got to see him when he was super young. Worked with Dale Raber and AFCO and quarter midgets, someone I was very familiar with. But Nick Loden, very impressive. I was honestly shocked to see him on the entry list. So we're getting ready to see a phone racing replay. Big aerial shot, the yellow car just left of your screen. Billy Van Meter gets in the back end. Van Meter all but spins there. Let's get on board of Nassi. You're gonna look for the yellow car up ahead of your screen.
It almost looked like they had one of those accordion style deals. They were all nose to tail. Somebody may have checked up in front of them. Van Meter didn't get checked up quite in time. Nothing intentional there, it didn't look, as Loden ended up being the one going around. So we'll see how it cycles out with timing and scoring on if he lost a lap or two under this yellow flag. But an unfortunate break for Nick Loden, who was running in the Snowflake last night and the Derby here today.
Yeah, Nick's been a good story for me to catch an eye on, but I was going back to what I was saying. I was impressed and shocked and honestly a little bit more like, man, are you sure you should be here when I saw him on the entry list? Super good, but let's head down to Bob to get more for our Joe's Racing pit reporter.
Well, guys, honestly, they don't know exactly what happened there because they were just trying to ride. I spoke to Andy Loden, that is Nick's dad, and he said, listen, he came across the radio and said he just got driven through. Impatience early on in this race is what Andy and Nick were talking about, and they're trying to preach patience to Nick right now.
That onboard look that we had from Stephen Nassi reminds us that he has not had the charge up through the field that we have expected. Granted, we've only run about 5 or 6 laps under green after the 2 early cautions inside the first 15 laps, with Loden getting that car righted. Long race, long opportunity for these drivers to get a chance to work their way through the field. Let's go back down to a Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Jim Trado.
Down in the Conor Presic pit, he's up to 4th now. Mike Garvey, you went through a lot to get that car in. What's your driver saying now, Conor Presic, Mike Garvey, about the handling early on?
He's pretty happy with it right now. He said we're just maybe a touch free on exit, so hopefully that doesn't get too bad as we go through the run here. See how it goes, and we'll just maybe try to tighten up a little bit as we go.
I did hear him say on the Racing Electronics scanner that I'm wearing, he said, I think I have a better turning car right now than the guys ahead of me. What do you guys do to combat that or improve that?
Well, that's good. I mean, you got to have a car turn here, but you also got to be able to get off the corner. So, I mean, we just got to make sure it doesn't transfer too far to the free side. If it does, we'll just have to work on it a little bit.
Mike Garvey turning the wrenches, and the right turns were made right before qualifying with all of the struggles that they had during the course of the week. They have a good race car. They have a really good driver in Connor O'Kresick, who has won a championship here at this racetrack, his home track before. He will be restarting this time on the outside of row number 2. We're ready for the restart. This time it will be 20 laps in at the line. Majeski leading all of them so far. Back to green and underway again at the Snowball Derby.
Great launch by Majeski on the bottom side of row number 1. Here's Sawalich and Honeycutt. Looks like these two have been side by side for virtually every green flag lap that we have run so far. Honeycutt trying to make the top side work off 4, and he's going to rip the top to protect the spot. O'Kresick now dives low on Sawalich.
Yeah, Honeycutt pinched Sawalich really aggressively, able to do that, take advantage. O'Kresick able to get good drive off 2. Should be able to hopefully finish this pass within a corner or 2. It's just all about the drive. If you see the one wheel spin on Sawalich as he gets a good corner, but he's going to try to pinch down and really de-wedge the 14 here to just try and minimize. It's not about making the most time, it's about minimizing and putting your guy on the inside who has the advantage at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and Sawalich doesn't want to lose a bunch of spots right now, and they're lined up nose to tail in the inside lane behind him. O'Kresick making the move on the low lane of Sawalich, and it looks like William will be able to get down and get in line. That will save him from losing a few more spots as we are early on looking for a decent green flag run, and I'm sure the crews would like to see that as well, so they know what their car is going to do on those runs.
Yeah, I think so. Some do and some don't, really. Some have that short run speed. Some haven't had the long run speed, so some are hoping short run, but the guys in the back, I know there's a lot of people that are worried that this first green flag run is going to be the toughest. It's going to be the easiest to go lap down and manipulate that. And if you go one down, all of a sudden that next run, you're going 2, 3, and that just puts you at a disadvantage. The second you go one down, it really puts you at a vulnerable spot.
Oh, a little bit of contact there between Sammy Smith and the Bubba Pollard team car and Hayden Plybon. It's for the 6th position. Maybe a little early for contact, and did I see a little tire rub perhaps from the 8 car of Smith? We'll have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully he didn't knock the fender down on the tire.
As we watch this 8 car try to dive to the bottom of Hayden Plybon for this spot, both cars wiggling off the corner. The other 8 car in this field was one of 3 that stopped him to that last caution, as we see that puff of smoke again going into 1. Carson Kvapil, Nicholas Noggle, Caden Lapsevich all came down on the last caution and restarted the tail end of the field. Here comes Luke Fenhouse in the 4.
I don't think it was a tire rub on the right front. That looked okay, but he did leave out a little puff of smoke, as we saw it a couple laps in a row. Fenhouse to the inside of Plybon, who had the impressive qualifying effort, the driver from the West Coast, but Plybon right now maybe struggling a little bit with the handle of the car.
You start to see right here who's got it and who doesn't on race trim. You know, everybody can have really good speed. There was a few that I had circled potentially that would maybe be a question mark if they're going to bleed spots. Plybon, one of them. I didn't see a lot of race trim runs, but super fast in qualifying trim. Obviously holding tough here as cars become good, but you find out how good some of these cars are as he's fighting hard on the outside, and that's just going to hurt his tires even more. Butcher now to the inside. If he doesn't get down soon and at least cool down those tires, he might, you know, keep bleeding these spots.
We've seen Cole Butcher be a great qualifier here in the past. He qualified 15th for this race, but he's already up inside the top 10. Crosses the line in 8th. Cole Butcher is on his way toward the front of the field, Eric.
And I think another car trying to join him up that way is Bubba Pollard, who was dove to the inside. You heard the reception from the crowd during driver introductions. One of the drivers trying to check off the biggest box that he's ever had in his racing career after what's a very big year for him professionally. Made his Xfinity Series debut with Junior Motorsports at Richmond Raceway and garnered a top 10 effort with that run. He has now worked his way up a little bit closer towards the front of the field. He's up to 9th, and here comes Cole Butcher to the inside of Luke Fenhouse, potentially for what would be 7th spot on the front stretch.
Yeah, Butcher trying to keep low. We see it all the time in the NASCAR world, right? Trying to keep a left front fender, headlight out to keep clean air. Well, here you're just trying to get lower because lower just means more grip. We're going to talk about it all day, but just trying to be lower. You see the straight line drive. It almost looks like he's got more horsepower, but Butcher just able to keep that thing low and just constantly just trying to find racetrack that Luke Fenhouse is giving up. It's not air, it's not looking for, but just looking for fresh racetrack down there as we continue to see Hayden Plybon start to just keep trying to cut that rope of that anchor because he keeps falling back, constantly fighting that wheel down the straightaway even because that thing is loose and a handful right now with lack of grip as he might lose another here to Jake Garcia in any moment.
Garcia, who is exceptionally relieved to be able to time his way into this race on qualifying night on Friday, now to the bottom of Plybon as the 55 has fallen out of the top 10 with Garcia lining up on the inside. Jace Hansen in 13th just behind him, and Matt Craig, the runner-up in the Snowflake last night, would be the next car in line if this 55 continues to get drop kicked up into that second groove.
Jake Garcia coming off the big win at the All-American 400 at Nashville, racing to the inside currently of Hayden Plybon. Garcia, former runner-up in the Snowball Derby. Jake Garcia moving forward. Hayden Plybon going in the right direction here early on this afternoon. Might be a situation where you don't want to make an early pit stop to change tires, but an adjustment might be necessary for the 55.
He's fighting that thing. It doesn't, you can see that wheel is turning right so much. But this is the point where he's got to remember he can really double down and make it worse for himself by being aggressive and trying to keep these spots. This is going to be the difference right here. He could double down. We might see him get lapped if he doesn't take care of it. You start to see cars get lapped as there's a massive issue with Nicholas Noggle there with the front end flying in the air. They obviously have some issue, or you said they came down to pit road. Maybe they didn't hook a spring or a bump stop right or whatnot, because that thing looks like it has the ride shocks on it, as now this is the struggle with some of these guys in the back. They were worried about Ty Majeski running really, really fast laps right now as he gets by Kane Lapsevich.
Yeah, Lapsevich and Noggle both going a lap down here early on. Majeski has gone past the 400 laps mark led in his career at the Snowball Derby.
Here comes the 2-car, Chandler Smith. He got into the wall midway through one of the practice sessions yesterday. They got the car repaired. He gets around Fenhouse for a position inside the top 10 to move Chandler up to 9th. But Carson, you talked about the importance of not going a lap down early. Several of the crew chiefs that I was able to talk to throughout the afternoon says if you've got a decent car and you fall 1 lap off the leaders, you may still have a chance if it's prior to the halfway point. But if you end up multiple laps down for any reason, your race is pretty much over for the win.
Yeah, it's like cup racing. The cup racing, our first run of the day, is the most stressful if you don't qualify good, because that is the fastest anybody's going. The track's the freshest. It's the hardest to pass. Everybody's not sure what they got. And the hardest point to lose track position is late in the race because everybody's got a point to tune themselves in and get good. Where right now everybody has their different agendas. Nobody's sure what we have. This is going to be the biggest separation we see of the pack as we see, cars kind of having gaps and trying to get themselves and not driving good. Every time we do a pit stop, that field's going to be closer and closer.
I was watching a driver that was one of the biggest movers toward the front was the 08 of Jace Hansen. He was started from the 20th spot, was up to 12th, but I think he may have used some up because now I start to see him backpedal. We also saw some contact between John Bolin and Buddy Shepard there. Shepard up the track a little bit.
Well, what we don't see in our shot right here, Ty Majeski's only 2 or 3 cars behind them. That's the aggression. That is why the 2-car just muscled him out of the way for 20-something. 28th, I believe that was the battle for, right? But that is how important it is to stay on the lead lap. But they have that competition caution coming up shortly, or the controlled caution, whatever you have. So you have a shot clock you're trying to get to. That bell might save you if you could just make enough distance or put enough cars in between you. So that's giving them all a fight right now.
Unfortunately for those guys, it's not coming up close enough. It's a 75-lap window, so they will go 75 laps of green before throwing a yellow for a mandatory caution. And right now Ty Majeski working into the back part of the field. As you mentioned, Buddy Shepard in the 22 got moved out of the way a little bit. He's in 31st position right now.
And the one thing Majeski's got to be careful with right here, we've talked about the aggression of the cars he is catching. Should things get a little bit too hair-raising in front of him, he could find himself getting swept up in some misfortune, as there's a lot of bumper tag happening. Stephen Nasse, Jake Finch, Cole Raz, all at the bottom of your frame, trying to sort out where they want to run to try to stay on the lead lap right now.
That's a lot of cars right in that picture we just saw down the straightaway, and a lot of guys side by side. Jake Finch is the odd man out. He's losing spot after spot because he's up out of the groove, and everybody's seeing a free spot. Michael Hine just barely to the inside. Everybody's seeing that free spot to at least get them one more. As you see Carson Cropple really respectful out of the way, but I don't think that respect level is going to turn down here in a minute.
Ty Majeski in the 91 car about a lap ago, really sideways in the middle of 1 and 2. He caught it. He's got a car that's rotating well, maybe on the edge of a little bit free, and he's moving fast, but now it's going to be tough. These guys want to stay on the lead lap, and he has to be careful too in case they start making contact.
Yeah, Jake Finch of this 51 car has been bleeding the last few laps. He's been out of the groove. His right rear's hot. He's going to be really aggressive to just try and keep this spot, but this thing's a handful alone. All he's going to do is he's going to try. Tyler Mellon spotting right now is telling him just paint the line, do as good as he can, but the second he loses it, they're going to be very, very vocal to just try and stay in that lucky dog position. You just see trying to put up just a big enough fight. You're still being respectful about it, but just trying to stay down in where the grip is in front of Majeski, but just Majeski too good right now.
Right side of your picture, battle for third. Okrezik trying to fend off Sawalage. Left side of your frame, that is Majeski lapping Jake Finch, who is running in 28th spot. Next in line will be that of John Bolin, as now we got Sawalage ducking to the bottom of Okrezik for third. But Stephen Nasse, only 3 cars up the road. In between Nasse and that of Bolin, Michael Hind, who was showing a little bit of smoke out of his number 69 machine a couple laps ago, as Sawalage moves up to a podium spot.
Ty Majeski, as expected, very fast here in the early going. We've completed the first 55 laps of the 57th running of the Snowball Derby. Okrezik's car is still pretty good this late in the race. I thought maybe he was going pretty hard early on, and I think Sawalage was willing to ride a little bit. Now his car coming around. Derek Thorne ready to next pounce on the 14 of Okrezik, as Thorne seems to have settled into that number 5 spot. The guy on the move, Cole Butcher, from 15th up to 6th.
Yeah, really impressive. This this red 28, really impressive with Donnie Wilson. We talk about how good the Wilson cars have been here at Pensacola. They won with Chandler Smith not long ago to that guy right in front of him, Derek Thorne. But 28 of Butcher always seems to have grip, and when everybody's loose, that Donnie Wilson cars always tend to have a good amount of grip. But I'm looking behind right now, the gaggle of Bubba Pollard race car, 26 and the 8 of Sammy Smith, right behind 7th and 8th. Those two cars starting to look good as you see Butcher trying to make a move.
Here's Butcher now, diving to the inside of Derek Thorne. It's been a wild year for Cole Butcher, who I got to catch up with earlier today. Thorne trying to fend off the spot. Butcher had to miss 2 months of racing action following atrial fibrillation ablation, also known as AFib. Took him out of the race car for a handful of weeks, came back and won the Winchester 400 in early October. Said he's feeling great. This is the one race he wants to capture, and he's to the inside of a driver who's done it before, battling for the final spot in the top 5 and 1.
I talked to Derek Thorne about his race car and about his setup, and one thing he said when he won all these races is he got a massive drive through 1 and 2, but now he gets loose. Is when he was winning all these races, he said to me that he paints the yellow line. He builds his car setup, he drives in deeper than everybody, paints the yellow line, and the second he gets off the yellow line, normally he almost spins out. He hasn't been his normal Derek Thorne dominant self since leaving the Byron Cable stable and now being with Joe Schaefer here with the 7 car, but one thing I'm noticing is it's not as free as it normally is. I don't know if that's good or bad when it comes later in the race, but as you start to see him bleed now as he gets around, you know, the 26 above a par gets around, but that thing is always super, super edgy. It doesn't look like it has 100% the speed, but it doesn't look as edgy anymore.
The car that is good right now is Bubba Pollard, looking for his first Snowball Derby win. It is strong right now, 63 laps into this race, following a very fast Cole Butcher. We'll watch the handling characteristics of Butcher and Pollard. There, Butcher right on the yellow line, Pollard up off the bottom of the racetrack a little bit, down in 1 and 2. Butcher's car, one of the strongest on the track so far.
Pollard, who has worked his way up through a handful of spots now. This is Kresick in 4th, Butcher 5th in the red 28, Pollard in the 26 behind him, running in 6th spot, with Ty Majeski still out in front by a pretty significant margin over the rest of the field right now. 2 seconds, the gap back to Honeycutt, the runner-up.
Folks, the intensity is picking up, guys. Ty Majeski just got around the 44 of Jeremy Dawson, now has 0 cars in between himself and Stephen Nasse. Nasse now under pressure here as soon as we can see, but we see Andrew Overstreet on your right, Buckner on your right of your screen. That's Bubba Pollard's pit crew. Andrew Overstreet came and crew chiefed his Xfinity debut, and what they think is confident in similarities of Richmond and Five Flags, painting the yellow line. Andrew Overstreet really impressed with Bubba Pollard of painting the line the second they got done and how well they ran on Xfinity. Bubba Pollard said, hey, I need Andrew Overstreet to come crew chief the Snowball Derby, as they haven't had a shot to win in a little bit. He obviously hasn't won, a little bit different. That's the only difference of their deal, and he moving forward as that's paying dividends as he gets by Cole Butcher for 5th.
What you missed right there was Butcher checked up middle of the corner a little bit, shoved up the banking, and Pollard's run through the middle made a little bit of contact with Butcher. No harm done. A scary moment there for not only Butcher, but Bubba Pollard as their battle for the 5th position. Changed hands. Lap traffic. Lapsevich on the top side. Okresic makes it by, but Okresic in some trouble soon because Bubba Pollard is reeling him in.
And things got close there with Pollard in the 26, Caden Lapsevich in the 76 coming off turn 4. They almost brushed tires just a little bit. Now Butcher tries to get past Lapsevich, the lap car. And while we've talked several times about Bubba Pollard's efforts to win this race, let's not forget how his tenure at this race started. In fact, he failed to make the first 2 Snowball Derbies, 2005 and 2006. Once he made the show for the first time in 2008, he's never missed one since. This is obviously the one that he wants to grasp. Even though it's early, we're approaching the 1/3 distance race portion of this race. He's got a very fast race car. Other end of the spectrum, Stephen Nasse in a similar boat, desperately trying to stay on the lead lap in that 51.
Cole Raz going a lap down in 23rd position. Nasse has turned it up a little bit. The problem is he started in 30th. And Majeski with clear racetrack caught the back of the field extremely fast. Nasse, the winner of the Snowflake last night for the first time, looking for his first Derby win. Does not want to go a lap down this early in the race. He's begging for a yellow flag at this point. if I'm Noah Gregson in the 30 and I see Nassi coming, he's going to continue to try to move through as best as possible.
Well, someone we just talked about was in front of Nassi and Noah was Trayton Lapcevich. We just talked about him. We talked about the guys that might bail or might bleed. Trayton Lapcevich won. I didn't expect to bleed. Now back down to the 21st spot. As you see, Okrezik maybe burned it up a little bit. Not too bad. Nothing to worry about. Still running 6, but that 14 car starting to fade a little bit real late in this run.
With all the problems that Okrezik and the team had this week, they didn't get to perform a lot of long runs. They were just happy to qualify into the 5th spot. And Okrezik pretty good early on. Here's Butcher again.
I thought he was going to give the favor back to him a little bit as he got in there, but a lot of respect from these two guys. They've been here, done this before. They've raced each other plenty of times. They know how important this position is, right? Inside or outside, a row or not. When we come to these, as we got a yellow, I think this was the competition caution, but we know how important these competition yellows are going to be because the short runs, cars are going to be able to spread out pretty good.
Third caution of the race, this one coming with 225 laps to go. It's going to save Stephen Nassi from falling a lap down. Ty Majeski is the leader. You're watching live coverage of the 57th Annual Snowball Derby, presented by Flow Sports.
Welcome to the 57th Snowball Derby at Five Flags Speedway. First round of pit stops right now. Controlled cautions here at Five Flags Speedway today. Ty Majeski is the leader of this race, the number 91, looking good so far. Spoke to his crew chief, Toby Noodleman. He said, you know what, the car is pretty balanced right now. We're just going to come in, take tires, fill it with fuel, but no major adjustments on this 91 car during this pit stop. That's how good it is. Jim?
J.C. Umshot and his crew, the number 20 on Caden Honeycutt, qualified second and remains second. They come into pit road. Jack stands underneath. They're doing a right front shock adjustment, putting on 4 fresh Hoosier tires. I'd like to remind our viewers that there are 3 sets of tires in the pits. They can change those at any time during a controlled caution. They have to be stickers. They're putting their right sides on. They'll put left sides on. But we'll see a lot of shock adjustments going on. Honeycutt has a good car, but the race pace guys went about 1.5 seconds, fastest lap to slowest at this point in the race. So it's enough time to say, let's throw rubber at it. Talking to crew chiefs down here, though, they said we need to have tires, ideally maybe make a 100-lap run. That'll cycle us through so we can have a set lane, because last year that caution with 18 to go is on everybody's mind. For Cole Butcher in the car number 28, his crew chief on Sus asked him how's the car. Cole Butcher has advanced up to 5th from his 15 starting position. They're pitted down here towards turn 4, and Cole Butcher said, tighten the center, loose in, loose off. So they're going to adjust tire pressure for Cole Butcher from his advance up to 15th, from 15th to 5th.
Thanks, gentlemen. Joe's Racing Products Pit Reports with that of Bob Dillner and Jim Trado as we continue to see this controlled caution being exercised by all the race teams. It's an incredible event so far. I'm Eric Brennan again, along with Adam Mackey and Carson Hocevar. And Adam, you've seen these races several times before. Ty Majeski just flexing a lot of muscle early in the going here.
Really good, and he's scaring the back half of the field, and he was, a lot of the field, fortunate that we had that competition yellow at 75 laps without a controlled yellow, and that's why it came out when it did, and it saved Stephen Nasse. He was the next to go a lap down. A lot of drivers moving toward the front. We've got a few dropping toward the back, and this was a chance for everybody to come down pit road and make some adjustments, make some changes, maybe take on some fresh rubber.
So, Carson, to many of the race teams, maybe like that of a Stephen Nasse, who was just about a car length away from going a lap down when that yellow fell, do they look at this as a potential reset and refresh point?
Absolutely. If not, we're all racers and we're all liars, honestly. We all have these delusions to keep ourselves in it, whether it's the crew chief saying it, the spotter saying it, or the driver trying to pump himself up. It is, you know, hey, man, we're going to get it going. We need 3/10 a lap, but we're going to figure it out. We're one spring change away. But you see in Nasse, he's all but the last one. As we were going to head down to Bob, we were Joe's Racing Products Pit Report. Bob, what do you got?
Yeah, some major adjustments on this 51 for Stephen Nasse. He gets out of there. That car just way too tight for his liking at this stage of the game. And honestly, the weather that we're seeing, guys, a little bit different than what we expected. Cloudy conditions here. We expected sunny skies, blue skies. It's a beautiful temperature, but how might that have changed how the cars are handling, you know, and compared to what they thought it was going to be here today?
Yeah, Bob, that would tighten it up. If I was sitting here racing, I think a lot of us would have tightened up knowing it's going to be hotter, slicker when the day's out. It's, you know, when that sun's baking on the racetrack, it's going to be freer. It's going to be, you know, just because the pace is slowed down. But now the pace is still really fast. You know, it's a lot of fall off, but the pace is still fast. It's around the bottom, and that's just going to make the thing tighter because you just got to get lower. Everything, as we saw Nasse last one off pit road because they're working nonstop on that race car because they know they have a capable winning driver, especially after last night. A little extra pressure on Anthony Campany to fix this race car.
We were expecting 71 degrees and sunshine originally for today. Now the forecast shows cloud cover all day long and a high of 65. That's changed quite a bit, which has brought it a little closer to some of the weather that we had yesterday. So a little more like what the teams have expected all week long. Still the warmest day that we've had, but that definitely changes the handling characteristics on what they expected.
The teams are now getting up in their positions by courtesy of the officials and scorers here for the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. They'll reassume the positions they were in at the time of the caution, with Ty Majeski essentially being the dominator for this first portion of the race. As you look at Bubba Pollard, who has definitely been on the move, started outside of row number 4, now up to 4th. So he's gone through half of the field from where he started to where he wants to go. And Carson, you said not only does Bubba look good, but the team car also looked pretty strong in that of Sammy Smith. Both of those cars look like they've got what they need to contend today. For more on the 26 car, let's go down to Bob Dillner.
Well, Andrew Overstreet on top of the box for Bubba Pollard. I just spoke to him. That car tight as well. So they just freed the 26 up. But honestly, this team here today has a message, has a theme. And if we get the camera to come over here just a little bit, Bubba Pollard has not won this race yet. Right now, this is their slogan here today, to believe that they can make it throughout the 300-lap distance, believe that Bubba Pollard can go to victory lane and hoist that Tom Dawson trophy.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, we just talked about, guys, spotters, communication, crew chief communication, driver motivation, as we see on board Stephen Nasse. But one thing I just wanted to mention really quick, Andrew Overstreet, you just heard, crew chief of the 26. Philip Bell, crew chief of the 8. Andrew Overstreet and Philip Bell both work inside Junior Motorsports on the Xfinity side. That's where Bubba and Andrew first connected. But they are the only crews here as a team that have worked together in the NASCAR world, and now coming here, working with Sammy Smith now on the 8 car, and then working with the 26 of Bubba Pollard. A lot of knowledge in that deal, but the biggest thing for me is that is maybe the key difference of the missing ingredient that can get Bubba Pollard to victory lane. That one thing he hasn't had the last 16 times. His crew's always stayed the same, very similar, same people, same family, Seneca race cars, everything. That might be the missing ingredient we have that we'll wait and see if that is.
Chief starter Dan Spence indicating 1 to go. We're now a half a lap away from the restart. Coming around to complete lap number 82. It will be 217 laps to go in the 57th annual Snowball Derby. Time to see who hit the nail on the head in terms of adjustments. Just shy of the 1/3 distance mark. Ty Majeski leads us back down to green.
Much like we had at the start of the race, Honeycutt on the outside, drops low. He's going to close the door on Sawalich. But Bubba Pollard has worked his way into the 4th spot. Let's see what he has. 3 wide, look out, trouble. Gilliland somehow, Hansen saves it. 3 wide into 1. Cruz on the move on the bottom. Big pile up at the back of the field.
John Bolin, Connor Jones, Nick Loden, a handful of cars that were involved in early incidents today. Nicholas Nago, Kaden Lapsevich, Billy Van Meter, all in the accordion stack up off the 4th corner. And the first major wreck of the race comes with 216 laps to go, and it has taken out several cars.
Well, we saw 3 wide up ahead, and I'm sure it was probably one of those deals where they kind of stacked up behind him. Someone made some contact and nowhere to go, and that's what you fear on restarts and big races like this. We've seen it at Winchester. We've seen it at the All-American. We've seen it for many years at the Derby. You get a few laps where the field spreads out, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, right there, the 2 of 22 of Buddy Shepard, now the 2 of Bolin. A lot of cars torn up here. But yeah, I mean, when I was talking to crew chiefs, their biggest thing was that first long run was going to be their worrisome, because they felt like there was going to be yellows when they kind of stack up, similar to what we saw in the Flake, a long green flag run or a decent long green flag run, and all of a sudden the middle portion, there's a bunch of incidents. Let's take a look at the Flow Racing replay.
The stack-up started when Jace Hansen and David Gilliland got together. Everyone started to accordion back together. Jeremy Doss got major damage. Look at Cole Raz squeeze through the melee of what is only a 48-foot wide front straightaway, and he found the gap he needed to get his car through.
Watching again to see if it was Hansen that had the issue or someone in front of him that did not go.
That was impressive from Cole Raz. But right here, left of your screen, watch every car behind the 98, white 98, watching from the red car right behind that Dawson side. Every car just gets picked up. It's almost like a restart where a guy misses a shift. It just creates that accordion effect, and everybody's just stacking up. And the weak or the worst part of the chain is the guys in the back that just get torn up the most.
Some great shots there, not the shot that Connor Jones wanted to be a part of. A tough day today, a spin early on for our first yellow, and collected in this one as we send it down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Jeremy Doss's number 44 machine, pretty banged up on the front end of this machine. Cody Glick and his team going to work to try to make sure that they can secure all the body work and get the radiator in place as well. Big thing, plus that air box there, you want to be able to cool that engine, get that air to the radiator. So a lot of work ongoing right now here down in the Jeremy Doss pit area, and it's a lot of damage on the front end of this race car, Jim.
Kaden Lapsevich has walked from his car to his pits. It's a short walk, but man, what a disappointing walk it is. You just came in for a pit stop to make adjustments. Kaden, you've been working on this car all week long. This has got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't know. We weren't very good. It's the longest week I've ever had at the racetrack. We cut more shit off that car than I think was on it when we came here. So just a tough week, but you know, my guys worked their butts off. We never stopped, that's for damn sure. We tried our ass off the whole time. So I don't know, we'll regroup, try again next year and see what we got.
What did you see on that restart?
I don't know. It's, you know, I was kind of focused. I was trying to stay back and not end up in the mess, but you know, he said, my spotter said check, and they were stopped in front of me. So I don't know, short day, long week. Try again next year.
Bob.
Connor Jones down here in the pit area. He's got a wrecked race car behind me. I want to know, what did you see out there to trigger that incident?
Not very much. Couldn't really see much. I just know I got in the back of John because they were all checking up there, and next thing I know, I'm getting plowed in the back of and just drove through a wreck. sucks. Brand new $175,000 race car down the drain right now, so.
Thanks, Bob. You see the dejection there. Connor Jones, one of the few able to drive his way back. Cleanup continuing on the front straightaway. We are under the red flag with 84 laps in the book. 216 laps still to go. You're watching the 57th Annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. We'll be right back right after this.
Welcome back to Flow Racing's coverage of the Snowball Derby under red flag condition for a big pileup, including Nicholas Noggle, one of the 3 drivers here from beautiful Nova Scotia. This car is anything but beautiful, Nicholas. What'd you see?
Yeah, I just think people were starting to get a little anxious there a little early. We had a shot go bad in that first half, and we were fighting it, but we were very happy with the car, and after that pit stop, I thought we were going to be good. Unfortunately, seeing them start to stack up around row 13, 14, I'd say, and tried to lift out of it, but unfortunately, not everyone had the same idea.
You came down here last year, tried to make the show, and we're a spectator come green flag. This time you earned it with the Rackley Award team. Talk about the emotion of just getting in the show and now this disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be too disappointed. Our goal was to make the show. I'm sad we're not going to get to finish it. I was really looking forward to it, but I got to thank the Rackley War guys so much. I got to thank Broadcon Construction, Celtic Air Services, and Hoosier Tire for giving us such a good tire to race on this weekend. It was a great opportunity, and I can't be thankful enough.
That's Nicholas Noggle. Other cars are being repaired on pit road. Let's check in with Bob.
Yeah, one of them is Billy Van Meter out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And right now it's really cosmetic. I spoke to Butch Van Dorn, the crew chief on this machine, and he said, this car is still pretty good. We checked out the front suspension and no problems whatsoever. So the hood's crushed in, the nose piece is crushed in. But the key thing, honestly, here, and they're trying to work on this right now, is to seal off that air box on that front grille right there to make sure that the airflow can still go through that grille, get to the radiator, and cool off this engine. So fortunately for Billy Van Meter, no suspension damage on this race car. They're just trying to figure out that front nose piece.
Thanks, Bob. And being that this race still has a long way to go, trying to get back out there and see if you could survive the remainder of it could do you some well. And we're seeing the same attempt of repair efforts being made for that of Buddy Shepard.
That's probably the toughest thing to do. Right now, I'm looking at the right front fender a little bit. You could still see a little bit right above like the, I'm trying to explain it the best. It's tough to explain when I know it, but I think it's the headlight. It's right left of the headlight, right where the black and green. You see the fender kind of bow in. What I'm most focused on, obviously, not the best angle, but I'm worried this is the only car that has the new body. The new bodies are more susceptible to breaking the fender or the fender flexing or whatnot because it's more sharp. It's sharper, so it's easier to crunch in and break. Jim, I think you got something for a Joe's Racing Product Pit Report.
Yeah, Carson, I'm glad you were able to describe all the things Buddy Shepard and his California-based team has to go through. Caden Koppel's also down here. He had to make it into the last chance qualifier, and they are taking his car, what they can do to The nose, heavy damage as Buddy Shepard's able to pull away from his repairs. But Caden Quapple, not so much. They center punch the two-seam front nose. And that bodywork is going to be maybe enough trouble to cost them a lap or two here in the pits as they're surveying the damage. Dad Travis is looking over the air box and the nose, and the number 32 of his youngest of two sons, Caden Quapple, just a week shy of his 18th birthday, wanting so badly to race with his brother for the victory here. This is the damage on the Keen Parts Corvette for Caden Quapple and this team. No hurry to get this car fixed.
And we just saw the window net come down on Caden Quapple's car, and he has got the gloves off, taking the helmet off now, and Caden Quapple's second consecutive Snowball Derby is going to come to a premature end, and you see all of the damage on the front end of that Keen Parts Corvette-bodied race car. And unfortunately for many of the drivers that have had issues so far, Adam, it's a lot of drivers that, as Jim said, either had to come through the last chance race or were involved in some of the early cautions that we had. The back of the pack has truly been a bit of a danger zone, and it's taken out several competitors and potential contenders like that of 2023 Cars Tour Pro late model titleist in Caden Quapple.
Had that one decent green flag run, and there you see the work going on to the Dylan Fetcho machine, three-time champion at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway in the Pro Late Model division, making a rare Super Late Model start here at the Snowball Derby, his first Snowball Derby, and had a pretty good piece in qualifying. They were looking to replicate it in the race. We're going to go out there and hope that it runs as best as possible and salvage a decent finish today.
Yeah, really impressive in my opinion. Dylan Fetcho, right up there with the likes of Nick Lowe, doesn't go to Supers very often, but able to put together a really good run. I grew up with Dylan, racing quarter midgets with him, great family. You know, they don't have unlimited resources or budgets or anything, so for them to come back down to the Snowball Derby, bring two cars, had a car in the Flag and now in the Super with himself driving. Super cool to see him qualify into the race, you know, comfortably and be able to put together a race car. Unfortunate to see, but at least if anything, it would be important for them to see the end of the checkered flag, beating their battered, you know, still seeing a checkered flag, but obviously a tough way to, you know, basically end their Snowball Derby hopes of a Tom Dawson trophy.
As a youngster, when you made your first Snowball Derby, what are the feelings on that day? Just going into it, like, what are your goals? I mean, everybody wants to win, but I think the goal is to stay out of trouble as best as possible.
Yeah, the goal is, it's constant of first you want to make the show, and then you just want to stay on the lead lap, and then you just want to finish. But when those don't go your way, or even if you get there, you're never satisfied as a race car driver, even when you get to lead lap, everything. So it's just constantly working on that and changing your agenda, and that's what I love about the Snowball Derby. Year after year, your agenda's changing. As you see the 26 of Bubba Pollard, let's go down to Bob Dillner with the Joe's Racing Products Pit Report.
I talked to Bubba Pollard and his team, and they told me they were just going to ride for the most part of this race. The end of the race is the only thing that's important to him, but he knows it's survival as well. So that's what this team is going to do. They're going to take their opportunities when they present themselves, but at the same time, just sit there and ride if they need to. That's veteran savviness there for Bubba Pollard and this team, Jim.
For Gio Ruggiero running in 13th, when they made their first pit stop, guys, Gio Ruggiero came in, rather matter of fact, this is the team he had to carry the rifle with the Winchester 400 victory. Gio Ruggiero has a lot of Super Late Model experience. We know he's going to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series next year, but Dennis Dean and his team have an agenda. I asked about the changes they made once they left pit road, and Dennis said we just did a little bit of air pressure. He wanted more turn in the car. I then asked about the weather. I said, hey, we're expecting 70 and sunny. What do you do with air pressure to adjust for the cooler temps? He said, smiling, he said, we're going to wait a little bit later on in the race to worry about air pressure. So they're just trying to get Gio comfortable, who finished 9th in the last 2 Snowball Derbies. We don't know when his next chance will come. He wants to bag the big trophies before working full-time in NASCAR next year.
Gio right now lining up in the vicinity to that of Dawson Sutton in the Rackley War Racing number 26. Hats off to the track crew here at the Flags Speedway. They got that melee cleaned up pretty quickly on the front stretch, as we are now, as you can see, back under the yellow flag, coming around a complete lap number 85. 215 laps to go, and they're going to double up the field this time through.
Yellow lights are still on, most likely at least another pace and a half or so before we go back to green. We're talking about Gio Ruggiero, started 26th up to 13th. His teammate, Brent Cruz, who struggled early this week, they found a brake issue. He's from 31st to 17th. And of course, we talked a lot about Cole Butcher in the 28 car, up to 6th. He's got a very fast race car. The Wilson Motorsports entries look strong.
Let's get a quick update on the Rackley War entry to that of Dawson Sutton. Here's the Joe's Racing Products pit report.
Dawson Sutton has faded just a little bit. The 18-year-old has been so impressive since running super late models this year for the most part. That big win at Milwaukee, the track championship at Nashville. But right now, that car, as he fades back a little bit too tight. So when they come down pit road, or they came down pit road, they made some adjustments. They increased the stagger on this car. Willie Allen, the team owner, told me, and they made a track bar adjustment. They need to get this car to turn a little bit better for Dawson Sutton.
Wrapping up our fourth caution of the race, this one for a multi-car pileup on the front straightaway that resulted in a very short red flag. Coming to the green, it'll be 215 laps to go. Ty Majeski still the pace setter. Caden Honeycutt alongside, just like how they started this race. Back underway in the Snowball Derby as they fly by the Buzzy Racing Speed Shot, and a bit of a stack up behind them at the tail end of the pack.
This time, everyone able to make it to turn one without any major issues. Majeski's back out front. Again, Honeycutt able to drop in line in second. Sawalich doesn't challenge the battle for fourth. Here's Pollard taking it away.
Pollard up into that fourth spot, ahead of Butcher right now. Majeski survives the restart. Honeycutt second, Sawalich third, Pollard fourth. As they start to creep up closer to what will be the 1/3 distance mark of this race.
Was watching Connor Okrezik in the 6th spot there, kind of pushed up the track a little bit in turn 3 and 4. Maybe having a hard time keeping it on the bottom of the racetrack. There's Chandler Smith and another one of the Wilson Motorsports entries. He's on his way forward, former winner of the Snowball Derby. Chandler Smith making a move, closing in on the top 5.
Smith, the 2021 winner of this race, as Okrezik squeezes between Smith and Derek Thorne, as Thorne gave the 14 car a little bit of a warning shot there off the quarter. But look at the damage on Brent Cruz's car.
Yeah, that happened with the stack up. A few guys with damage. Brett Cruz with the worst, as you're seeing on the screen. Still with a little bit of speed, but obviously going to continue to get worse as he's maybe trying to make a pass, but that tire rub's only going to get worse, guys.
The day to get worse till it gets better, because there won't be a tire left on it. It will blow out eventually. It is rubbing hard for the lead off of turn 4. Honeycutt wants to take it from Majeski.
Honeycutt, the busiest driver here at Five Flags this weekend, said during driver introductions, "This is what I've been waiting for." Not worn out by the slightest. The car's got a lot of pace, and to the lead, Caden Honeycutt off of turn number 4. He's the new pace setter as we complete lap number 90 of 300.
The strength of Caden Honeycutt this week in multiple different race cars. A truck, a modified, a pro late, and a super late model. He's a former top 5 finisher in the Snowball Derby and one of his first starts here at this racetrack. It came to the Derby, and he is now pulling away at the front of the field. Majeski riding in second.
Very impressive from Honeycutt. It obviously shows their adjustments paid off. Now looking back to 4th and 5th, this is your battle 26 and 28 of Bubba Pollard and Cole Butcher. Really good race cars here, trying to bind their time, and we're waiting to see where these race cars, now that they have a little bit better track position, I'm eyeing the later half of the run. That's where these cars really showed up strong.
Those two cars appear to be evenly matched. That of Pollard, who is 4th, Cole Butcher in the red 28, who is 5th, both reeling in. Not only Sawalich in the 62, who is 3rd, but also the pole sitter in Ty Majeski as 2nd through 4th, try to tighten things up just a little bit, if at all possible, with Honeycutt now in control of this race.
Just 7 laps away from the first third of this race being completed. Had a couple of slowdowns, the big pile up for a red flag period, but once we get rolling, laps can click off here in a hurry, and we'll go no more than 75 laps during a run between controlled yellows. William Sawalich running right now in the 3rd spot. That's Pollard in the 26 and 4th, and Butcher running in the 5th spot in the 28. Does Butcher continue to move forward? That car is hooked up on the yellow line.
Yeah, it's just a battle of being on the yellow line here. Everybody just starting to click off laps. This is the point where everybody's now just digesting their race car. They got an adjustment in. They need to know if it's more or less. This is the point where they're really analyzing their race car, what they have. You see Jake Garcia on the right side of your screen. Going to be an unfortunate end to his Snowball Derby. Think he was involved in the restart. But on the left of your screen, Ty Majeski's charging and trying to keep in touch with Caden Honeycutt. Honeycutt really strong off the fire. Majeski really edged out the last half of the last run. We'll see if Majeski maybe made an adjustment. So we're going to see a right side of your camera. This is the restart. happened, a stack up around, just a bunch of cars. Can't quite see. I believe that's Matt Craig that struggled to get going, and there's just chaos ensued behind.
I believe that was Hayden Plybon who got hit by Cruz, who somehow is still on the racetrack right now. Running in the 17th spot is that of Brent Cruz, with Sawalich running up the hill a little bit here off turn number 4. Pollard closing. Butcher not far behind. This is third on back. As we hit the 1/3 distance mark, as we check in on Stephen Nasse, who is not as quickly flashing his way up through the field, but rather methodically as he works all over the backside of the wounded Wilson Motorsports 24 Brent Cruz.
You see on the right side of your screen, even on the right side of that screen, the fender, you can see the fender pulled up, you can see the fender braces, you can see the hood bailed up, you see damage to that 51 in Nasse. Not near as bad as what you see on your screen, that 24 Brent Cruz. I can't believe it's not blowing water and knocked the radiator completely out of it and it's still running, but damage to that 51 in Nasse, that might be hurting his progress.
Very fortunate that it's a somewhat cool day for Brent Cruz. I thought for sure he would be overheating by now as well. They're begging for a yellow. Some of those that had damage in Cruz's car, despite the damage, still running fairly well. We look again into the top 5 where Cole Butcher's ready to pounce on Bubba Pollard.
Adam Mack, you're absolutely right. Driver just reported in. Brent Cruz said it's up to 215 water temp. His spotter said if it gets any hotter, we have to come. We have to come if it gets hotter.
Thanks, Jim. And I know it's a Snowball Derby, but the front end of that number 24 car looks more like a snow plow right now. Hopefully he can somehow manage to keep it rolling after they said they diagnosed a brake problem earlier in the practice session on Saturday. And that's what got him in a position to race his way through the last chance event as the battle for third continues to tighten up. Sawalich, Pollard, Butcher, third, fourth, fifth, respectively.
These guys kind of settling in now. Cole Butcher has made a couple of attempts to close that gap and get to the rear of Bubba Pollard, but has not found an opening, all running the same lane. All 3 of those cars seem to be handling pretty well. And how much of this, Carson, is Ty Majeski just settling in right now, saying he doesn't have to lead all the laps. He likes to be out front, but Caden Honeycutt wanted it a little bit more.
Adam, for how good that 91's been, I don't think Ty Majeski is willing to give up that lead. I think Caden Honeycutt just went and took it. I think his race car's really strong, but I think Ty Majeski, to that merit, has a lot of confidence in his race car of letting Caden go and knowing he'll come back and knowing his strong suit later in the run. As you see Ty, working this, but I think Honeycutt just got his race car better. But also, too, when you're leading, when you're the best car, when you put 5 seconds on the field, you don't want to touch it. So that puts you at a disadvantage. Now he's going to go work with Toby and his guys down on pit road. As you see now, Chandler Smith and Okresic now on your screen.
And that's one thing I was wondering, too. He's following the 21, and if the 21 is, in fact, a little bit better than him, he's going to say, Toby, I need to be better in this spot of the track. That's where I'm losing ground.
100%. One thing Ty's really good at, his communication with himself and Toby and getting his race car exactly how he wants it to. Communication is going to be key here to see if that 91 can outrun the 21 if he doesn't get back to him in this run.
Had a quick glimpse of Michael Hine going to the pit area under green. Tough break for the Hernando, Florida native, whose chances to win the Snowball Derby have gone awry. Smith now up to 6th. Behind him, Okresic and Sammy Smith. Okresic in the 14, Sammy Smith in the 8 car.
Smith running inside the top 10, the 8th position. Okresic settled in a little bit here after the restart recently. His car pushed off the bottom of the track and lost a spot or 2, but he's still having a great run, backing up that 5th place qualifying effort. Billy Van Meter in the 23 moving over was involved in one of the mishaps, one of the accordion style accidents that took place as the top 5 gets by. Van Meter in the 23 car running down the list in 28th position, a lap off the pace.
And as Caden Honeycutt has now caught the tail end of the pack, Ty Majeski was a half second off of that lead. And Majeski just got himself another 10th. Buddy Shepard next up the road for Honeycutt to try to get by. And as Adam mentioned, some of these cars have sustained damage or have had some sort of misfortune already in this event. And Honeycutt's going to have to try to get by gingerly as he now closes up on Shepard, with Majeski trying to close on him.
Majeski just trying to be smart here, really managing his deal. really managing his race car, being as vocal as he can. I'm sure he's being very detailed to Toby down on pit road with his race car. But Caden Honeycutt, it doesn't stop for him. He's got to be looking in the mirror, looking where he's good and looking where he's not. This is where the communication comes in from the spotter. The spotter's going to be able to tell Caden Honeycutt, because Caden Honeycutt can't see where Majeski's beating him. Majeski beating him on entry right now. Spotter's got to be telling him that, got to be figuring out how they can make that race car perfect, because that's what it's going to take to win the Snowball Derby, because it's not over yet. Just because they have the fastest car right now doesn't mean they're going to have it later.
Jace Hansen in the 08 running 22nd right now. A driver that was on his way to the front earlier, came from 20th down to the top 10 as we have a slowdown on the racetrack. The yellow lights come on for Lapcevich. Trayton Lapcevich with problems, was up against the outside retaining wall. Window net is down. Not sure if he made much contact, but it looks like a mechanical failure for Lapcevich.
A lot of smoke down into one. Not sure, fire or something of that nature, because he was aggressively getting ready to get out of that race car. Then when safety crews got to him, he kind of calmed down and whatnot. But luckily able to keep that thing out of the wall. But unfortunately, his Snowball Derby goes awry as he was running in the 14th spot right there.
Got to catch up with Trayton in the tech line earlier today. Hard to believe this is one of the few events that he has some experience with here stateside since relocating to North Carolina, shifting his focus with Chad Bryant Racing and the opportunity to run in the Cars Tour in a late model stock. This, however, a family-owned team, and you see the dejection from Lapcevich, who made his second consecutive Snowball Derby, started 10th here last year, involved in a late crash. This year, Trayton started 7th. Let's check that inside of row 7. Look at the upper left portion of your screen on the front straightaway. And there it is. And that wasn't just a blow-up. That was flames that came out from Lapcevich's car. And what a great job by the driver to keep it off the wall.
I would say they would call that catastrophic failure underneath the engine compartment of the 32 of Lapcevich, who did a heck of a job to save the race car. That could have ended up in not only a blown engine, but also a destroyed race car.
Yeah, really impressive, but really unfortunate disappointment for the whole Lapcevich family. Obviously, Caden out in that early incident, Trayton now with the mechanical failure. I'm sure that was a blown oil line or something to awry, but luckily for Trayton, yeah, like you said, really good job to hold on to that race car, and not make the damage obviously worse and kill a race car as well.
First Derby that we've had 2 sets of brothers make the start. The Lapceviches both DNFing here in this race. We also had both Quapples in this event.
And unfortunately, right now, Carson Quapple, I believe, is the lone soldier remaining of the 4. Under our 5th caution of the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. We'll be back for the restart right after this. 182 laps to go in the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports here in Pensacola, Florida at the Flags Speedway. Working caution number 5. Many of the race teams taking advantage of this opportunity to do some work on their cars. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products pit update from Bob Dillner.
Stephen Nasse 15th right now on the racetrack, trying to become the first driver to win the Flake and the Derby in the same weekend. Anthony Campi, team owner, what is he telling you about the car, and is it getting better?
It's getting better. I mean, we made a decent adjustment to start out with, but we're still battling a really tight car, and he had to miss a wreck there, and we got some damage we're going to have to clean up here, but I think he'll be all right. He's digging for us. We just got to make about 2-3 more good adjustments, miss some wrecks.
We all expected sunny skies today. Did the cloud cover kind of change things up for you guys?
Yeah, no, we were definitely expecting a real slick racetrack, and it's bound down, but we'll bring it around here.
That's Anthony Campi for Stephen Nasse. Jim?
Down in the Donnie Wilson pits, it got really busy. Gio Ruggiero was caught up in that accordion from Matt Craig on back. He was suffering through some right front damage to the body, but when he came in, Gio Ruggiero's nose had a big tear. The screen had pulled away from the bodywork for the grill opening, so the team was able to repair that under every second of care. Also with Brent Cruz's issue, we saw that a lap upon lap. They were hoping and got the caution. Every crew member on the second channel was told their role, and they did a great job, but a lot of damage on Brent Cruz, number 24. He's back on the racetrack, but that nose looks to be missing a few braces, so they went really heavy with the bare bond to get the number 24 Brent Cruz back out. That 16-year-old wants to make laps here in his very first snowball, but a lot of damage from that accordion effect from that incident.
Thanks, gentlemen. Bit of a double whammy there for the Wilson Motorsports team, and also Noah Gregson, who was able to get away from the first accordion stack up on the restart. The second one, not so much, and you see the damage to the Rhett Jones Racing number 30 of that of Noah Gregson. And guys, we see all the time, restarts here could often be tricky. It's happened now about 2 or 3 times that we've seen a little bit of a jam up toward the tail end of the field as these cars get back up to speed.
Noah Gregson has been quiet in this race, inside the top 20 though, still on the lead lap, and he has to be somewhat satisfied with that. Obviously a former Derby winner, he wants to get up there and compete, but his last appearance, he missed the Snowball Derby. So easy to do with the talent that's here each year, and .221 was the difference in qualifying from 1st through 30th on a Friday night. One of the closest ever Snowball Derby qualifying fields, and .221's like a car length-ish. That's how close it was.
Yeah, it's impressive how tight it is. You know, the small narrative of what it was a low car count field for normal Derby standards. Well, it instantly clapped back with the closest we've ever seen it in quality of cars and quality of lap times we were able to put up to make it or not make it in the Snowball Derby.
You see many of the fans enjoying the opportunity to partake in some of the festivities that happen in the infield as we watch the track crew taking a look at some portions of the surface around the speedway. And Bob Dillner mentioned earlier today during the pre-race coverage, and Carson, you touched on this a little bit yesterday, this racetrack surface obviously very aged, obviously a lot of character. The track has worked quite diligently to make sure that there are areas, even if there are of some concern, they gloss over it to make sure that they can do what they can to try to keep the surface in race-ready conditions, and we're seeing that diligence on full display right here.
Yeah, it's impressive. You know, they repaved the front stretch. You know, Tim Bryant and his group were originally going to repave the whole racetrack. They were going to repave the whole racetrack, and everybody was like, no, 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 the character is why we come. The character is what's so fun about it. But you know, the track's starting to come up a little bit in bits and pieces is the worrisome of it, and I think they've done a really, really good job that the second they realized they maybe had a problem or a problem arising, they've done a really, really good job of spending all night and doing everything they can to make sure nothing go overlooked.
Well, one of the cars that unfortunately retired from the event early in 2024 is with Bob Dillner for Joe's Racing Products Pit Report.
Yeah, Jake Garcia out of the race. He had finished second in this race years ago, but what put you out, Jake? What put you out of the race?
Yeah, I think we had a motor go bad. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it shut off coming off the corner, started stumbling pretty bad. So yeah, tough day for our team. You know, I thought we had a pretty good car. Especially once we got on our race tires, I thought we were going to be a lot better. So unfortunate, but I can't thank these guys enough. They've worked hard all week. So we'll have to come back and try it again.
Bad break for Jake Garcia. That car was not under power when it came to pit road.
Thanks, Bob. We saw the sigh of relief from Jake on qualifying night when he knew that he was locked into the show, because that was not the case last year. Got swept up in a crash in a last chance race and watched the race along with the rest of us as the field is now doubled up. And we are inching closer to the restart of this race after Caden Honeycutt took over the top spot. But 177 laps to go right now in the running of this race. We heard from the Anthony Campy racing team. Stephen Nassy scored 14th on board with him there. And Carson, you alluded to some of that damage on the right side. They elected not to come down to the pit lane and make any adjustments just yet. It appears as though he's confident that he could do some damage with that, as it looks like that's Okrezik coming down to the pit lane.
Yeah, not sure yet, but I'm shocked Stephen Nassy didn't elect to do it. We're going to have a 75-lap run again at minimum, guaranteed, with the last caution, with the with the reset of clock. But really, right now, just curiosity of Connor Okrezik. It looks like he's up to like under power or whatnot. We're going to try and obviously get an answer on that as we get to head to the next restart.
Bad break for Connor Okrezik, who qualified in the 5th spot, was running in the top 10 much of the afternoon, was just outside the top 10 and 11th here as of late, but he's in the pits and they're not working too quickly as the window net has come down. Ready for a restart. 124 on the board. Caden Honeycutt, the leader, back to green at the Snowball Derby.
Yeah, absolute heartbreak for Okrezik down on pit road. Now watching this restart transpire. Contact with David Gillen, the 98 into Butcher, but now battled for the lead as they head down into 3. Majewski holding tight, trying to get back that lead against a Honeycutt.
Who wants control of this race? We're about to find out. Majewski to the top side, the leader by inches as he tries to pin Honeycutt down to get a good run off turn 2. And William Sawalich joins the fight. 3 cars under a blanket, battling for the lead at the Derby.
As you get a little more wear on the tires and the race goes a little bit longer and rubber's put out there, you can make that outside lane work and you can run side by side for a while, and that's what Majewski is doing. We saw a wiggle, stayed in the throttle, starting to lose grasp now of the lead. Caden Honeycutt maybe ready to take it back away. Sawalich looking for an opening.
Yeah, hourglass is running out for Majewski. He's got about a lap-ish more of trying to hold on as he's going to get back in line, but really, really good job to be able to hold off. That's about the amount of time, once the tires get back hot after a cool down on a restart, that they can make it work on the top with momentum. But the second you lose the momentum, the inside prevails. Really lucky to get back down in front of Sawalich right there.
And how much did he learn right there by running on the outside lane of Honeycutt for a couple of laps? Maybe an adjustment later to say, hey, I need this if I get stuck in the outside lane with the car.
Or if this race comes down to a shootout or a green-white checker or some type of short-term run at the end of this race, he knows how aggressive he's got to be in that outside lane should he end up there to try to get the win late in the going.
Yeah. Taking a look here, Cole Raz, the 76 car, talked about him getting lapped earlier in the race, now up to 9th. A really strong effort from the 76 to get by Luke Fenhouse. Nassy back into your spin, running 11th. The only way I can think, you see the damage, you see the gaps in the hood, you see the right front fender higher than the hood, you see the damage, not obviously affecting him too much, getting up to 10th now around Fenhouse, but that traffic and track position, I think, is why that they elected not to pit, and they didn't think it was going to be as big of a hindrance as going back there and maybe getting involved in another crash.
Yeah, he was running in 13th with the damage, and there's 20 cars on the lead lap. He would have given up 7 or 8 spots. It's running fine, obviously. Running well is Nassy. If he can make it another 40 or 50 laps and we have a yellow flag, he's going to come down, as will everybody. They make their pit stops. Here's Gio Ruggiero with all of the tape, holding the front end of that car together, trying to come back to the front.
Jace Hansen now around Fenhouse. Fenhouse, the biggest loser per se, losing a lot of spots here on this restart. As we got a cycle, cars will react way differently on these cycle of tires as he's fallen outside the top 10 and now to 13th.
One car that we haven't talked a lot about today, that 33, that black and blue machine in front of Jace Hansen in the 08. Dustin Smith started his 2nd consecutive Snowball Derby here with a 23rd place starting effort as we've got a caution on the speedway. This will be yellow number 6. And it is for Cole Butcher. One of the front runners has come to a stop off turn 2. Butcher had been running up towards the top 10 pretty much all race long.
Maybe a flat tire on the right side, something, because obviously he was able to get back going, but obviously stopped.
All the tires are up. Maybe an issue in the rear end, perhaps. It kind of took off funny when he came from
it hopped a little bit.
So we'll see what's the deal with Butcher. And man, what a bad break for Cole Butcher. He was running up inside the top 5. Had come from the 15th starting position. He's going to get a 2-lap penalty for stopping to bring out a yellow, and that's going to be disastrous with how many cars are still on the lead lap. His times had really dropped off. As we take a look at a 3-wide battle, Cole Raz has been on the move, and there's Butcher when he started to have some problems. He moved up, let the field go by to the low side.
He was up in the top 10 when he started to have the struggles and faded quickly on the other side. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products update from Jim Trado.
Word from the drivers, something broke in the rear end. They're looking at the right rear. They removed the tire. Didn't look long in the fender well, but they said, let's take our time. They're getting the lug nuts back on by hand. So if it was a vibration from the right rear tire, that's one thing. But when he stopped on the racetrack, when he got rolling, he said, something might have broke. They said, come here and let us take a look and we'll fix it.
As Butcher is down and away, again going to be assessed a 2-lap penalty. Is that of the driver who hails from north of the border, now calls Mooresville, North Carolina home.
Elgin Trailer good at giving us good stats and stuff that make you go, but we're about 13 laps from the halfway mark of the 57th running of the Snowball Derby, and only 4 of the last 23 Snowball Derbies has the halfway leader gone on to win the race. I don't think you pull over if you're leading at halfway today, but it makes you think this race isn't over yet at 150 because only 4 of the last 23 leaders have actually been at the end of the race out front as we send it back to Bob.
Toby Noodleman is the crew chief for Ty Majeski. Ty had said the car was really good that first run. What's the difference between that first run and this run right now?
It's a little bit tighter. It isn't quite doing what he wants it to do. Obviously, the 21 must have made a really good adjustment, and we didn't adjust, so now we're going to have to work on it a little bit.
That's just part of the game, guys, the game of trying to figure out what your car needs.
Thanks, Bob, as the field is doubled up, and Majeski's going to get another shot on that outside lane. And we're going to see if he learned anything from that first attempt as the two continue to try to keep heating the tires. Let's get an update from the other team that is on the front row. Majeski, the leader of that, of Caden Honeycutt, for another Joe's Racing Products update. Let's go trackside.
Before this caution, I checked with JC Unshai. I said, what is your driver saying? Any news since you said, not much?
Not much. He's happy.
What are you guys going to change? It's so hard to predict because the car's rolling so good.
Just a few little things. Driver's got it.
And he said the communication has been there with Caden since they were racing legends together. Between JC and Caden, he said, I know what my driver wants. Not a lot of chatter on the radio for the leader.
Dan Spence showing us the 1-to-go signal. There's a lot of confidence from both of these cars. We're going to put it to the test. The restart is going to come 10 laps shy of the halfway point in the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. Caden Honeycutt, the second leader on the day, alongside of the pole sitter and defending winner, 2-time winner of this race, Ty Majeski. William Sawalich, Bubba Pollard make up row 2, Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith, row number 3.
Sammy Smith lurking just outside of the top 5, driving as a teammate to the guy right in front of him, the white 26 of Bubba Pollard, ready for the restart.
Oh, and Pollard gets stacked up. Everybody survives for now. And the restart is going to stand. Majeski does not get the launch on the top side. Honeycutt to the lead off turn 2 for the moment.
Scary moment coming off of 4 for a restart. We've had a few of those here today. This time we may have avoided disaster as Honeycutt's out front. Majeski drops in line. Sawalich follows.
Start to add new players to the game here, guys. Chandler Smith running 4th, but Matt Craig, haven't talked about him much. In the 76 of Cole Raz, now adding his name to the picture here as he's inside. Bubba Pollard trying to make a spot. Pollard obviously trying to, reset here as he had issues, but Cole Raz obviously making his presence known. They probably made the best adjustment. I think the biggest improvement so far inside of Bubba Pollard, going to try to get up into 6th here.
Yeah, Cole Raz on the move. Started this race in 19th. He was just outside of the top 10 a bit ago, but now he's got a good race car. A little free on exit there. Saw him skate a little bit, but he's on his way up there to battle with Matt Craig, who's in 5th.
If Cole Raz could win this race, he's going to have to give a lot of that $50,000 check to his brother Grayson Raz for the job he did to get him through the massive pileup that took place earlier on in this event. Cole not only survived the carnage, but as you said, he's worked his way up through the field nicely. He runs 6th.
Sawalich hanging out in the 3rd spot, watching 2 real fast race cars in front of him. We heard Toby Noodleman talk about what Ty needs to get back out front. Well, he might be back out front anyway. He's closing the gap again on Caden Honeycutt. Ty Majeski's led a lot of laps in this race, but Caden Honeycutt's been the one that's strong here, close to the race's mid-mark.
Yeah, heard from trackside when we were talking to Toby, Ty Majeski's crew chief, they didn't make any adjustments, and now they're kind of kicking themselves a little bit. And I don't want to say kicking themselves, but now this run is just a filler. They're waiting because they know they can make their race car better, but it's how they make their race car better. They know how crucial an adjustment is because they just lost the lead because of the adjustment, because they think the 21 made a better adjustment because clearly they didn't make any. So that 21 car is better just because of what they did on pit road.
And so many times we've seen a driver be good on a short run of maybe 5 to 10 laps. It gets up and goes, and then we've seen other cars that it takes them a little while. So then you're hoping at the end of the race, however that race plays out, works out for how your car is set up.
100%. That's what's so tough about the Snowball Derby. It ends in so many different ways and fashions that there is never the same Snowball Derby. You're never going to get the same script and same storylines. It's always something different. You never know. Cole Raz, I think, is that storyline for me right now. Never would have expected him to even make it through that crash when we saw it, and now up here fighting for a top 5 spot with the guy that ran second in the Snowflake just one night ago.
On board with Stephen Nassy, who runs in 14th spot. He lost a few positions by virtue of the stack up that happened in the outside lane on the restart. Both he and Bubba Pollard surviving that instance that took place on the last attempt to get us back underway as we come to the halfway point. 150 laps to go with Nassy trying to fend off Dustin Sutton for this 14th position.
Nassy kind of moved up into the outside lane. I don't know if he's real comfortable with the handling of his car at this point, or it was just a bobble that sent him up to the second groove. I don't think he's going to be able to get to the bottom for a bit either as they're lining up to the low lane. Here comes Feccio in the 89. Right behind him, Cole Butcher in the 28. Stephen Nassy, after working his way up into the top 10, starting to backpedal now. 15th, maybe 16th, maybe even 17th. Stephen Nassy struggling right now.
Left of your screen saw Bubba Pollard and Cole Raz get by Matt Craig. Jace Hansen now in that 08 car, passing the 54, now making another spot here. This is the battle for 7th. Jace Hansen, a new player to the game here, just outside the top 5.
Pretty sure Jace Hansen, he was struggling, remember, before that one yellow. He came to the pits. I think he's got fresher rubber than these other competitors, and it makes a big difference here at Five Flags Speedway.
100%. Obviously a multitude tire race that allows strategy to take your race car and make it look a little bit better than it is. Out of your screen, Jace Hansen now passes Bubba Pollard with that new rubber. Brent Cruz, you're seeing in the picture. Can't believe he's still out here. Really well done by the Donnie Wilson Cruz. Now going to make a spot here on Sammy Smith. That puts him into the top 10.
And Cruz's car is actually still being scored 1 lap down. He's the first car 1 lap down in 20th spot. And similarly, Adam, I wonder if that 24 car came down, bolted on some fresh rubber, trying to assure themselves in that spot for an opportunity as he continues to hold down that what would be free pass position, if at all possible, as we've got a car off the pace at 3 and 4. It is David Gilliland, who you're going to see entering the pit lane here. A heartbreaker after sustaining that damage early on. He was very fast pretty much all weekend as Hansen dives low on Raz.
That new rubber makes it look like Superman here. He's so good right now, but that's going to pay dividends. We'll watch and see when the tires come down and the opposite happens. You know, if they put tires on again and hope it just goes green, what they do, they're obviously going to be down a set. They're going to have to bleed it. What, 1 run later in the race, that's going to be something we follow on pit road. But now Ty Majeski now stalking in the tire tracks now of Caden Honeycutt. These two have broken away, been the classier field so far.
The teams had 12 tires available to them in the pits, so you try to measure out when you're going to need to use that last set. So you want 1 left, probably with at least 50 laps to go, right in that range. You don't want to get caught with 50 to go with none left. Sometimes you don't want to get caught with 25 left with none in the pits. It just depends on how the race plays out. And there's Hansen with a car that's a little on the free side, but it's been fast, and he's been moving back through the field after his pit stop right in front of the number 2 of Chandler Smith.
Smith holding down that spot for the moment. There's Bubba Pollard, who almost had this race get away from him, as now Majeski is there. 140 to go in the Derby, and Ty Majeski is turning up the heat on Aledo, Texas native Caden Honeycutt for the race lead.
Caden Honeycutt, we've talked about 4 different races this week. He's also a driver that can get behind the wheel of a dirt car and do well. He races in stock cars, the heavier automobiles. No matter what he gets behind the wheel of, he's always fast. Right now, one car that might be just slightly faster is Ty Majeski. The two-time Derby winner is there to challenge for the race lead at the Snowball Derby.
Yeah, guys, I have no doubt when, 9-10 months from now, this is the battle we see at Phoenix for a truck championship. But right now, it's for the Snowball Derby, the most prestigious short track race in America. 2 short track racers at heart. One a little bit more veteran and experienced than the other, 2 to his name, and Caden Honeycutt trying to add 1 to his name with the best in the business behind him.
You can see Honeycutt start to slide around a little bit as we watch Cole Raz climb into the top 5 for the first time today. Got around Chandler Smith on the right side of the 2 car. Smith showing a little bit of smoke there on the entrance turn 1. Bubba Pollard knocking on the doors. Majeski gets the fender to the inside of Honeycutt for the lead.
Move by Majeski to take the top spot. So now we know that Majeski's car lasts a little longer, but that was a long green flag run that they've been on these same tires. For Majeski, I would think they would adjust to be a little bit better on a short run, but not try to give up the long run as well. It's a tough, fine line that they're going to have to walk.
This is going to be the longest run and longest time on tires. They've only used 1 set right now. There's 135 to go. We're past halfway, and we've only used 1 set. There's 135 to go. You split it up. We'll go to the next one, put tires on, and go to the next. And it's going to be less than tires we ran, so that's going to be a part of that adjustment. If you overdo it or not, I think Honeycutt still has a little bit of the advantage because we won't go this long, but I think now the advantage starting to go back to Majeski only for the sake of how close these cars are. Track position is going to be the name of the game, and being able to fire off on that inside lane and control the restart is going to be playing dividends of who's taking this Snowball Derby.
In tires, I think we have new tires on that 24 Brent Cruz. He is a lap off of the pace. He wants to be the first driver 1 lap down so he can get a free pass, get back on the lead lap, and contend. He's got a car that seems fast enough to do it, Eric.
And we weren't quite sure what the ebb and flow of this type of tire compound and combination was going to do in terms of differential and pace. Remember, the new Hoosier ST1s on the left side of these race cars, the ST3s on the right side for the first time in Derby history. And I think we're seeing with the performance of Jace Hansen up to 3rd and with Cruz rocketing through the field, albeit with the damage, staying the first car lap down, tires still matter a bunch at Flags Speedway.
Yeah, you see the battle for 7th right here, but I think the biggest thing that is maybe the smartest thing for that Brent Cruz machine, with how fast he's going, they are closing in on Derek Thorne, currently the last car on the lead lap. If Cruz can keep this pace up, if Derek Thorne goes a lap down, Cruz is going to be there to pounce and keep to be the first car a lap down. He's not racing to get himself back on the lead lap. He's not racing to try to win the race. He's trying to put himself back on the lead lap here as the lucky dog precipitant.
That's Dustin Smith in the 33, closing up on Matt Craig. He's got Sammy Smith in the 8 behind him. Craig running in the 8th position. And what a great weekend it has been for Dustin Smith. Got himself a top 10 effort last night in the Snowflake 100. And the Alabama driver timed into yet another Snowball Derby this weekend, starting in 23rd position. And he's up into the top 10 here right now as well.
Single file, they've settled down a little bit. Next time we get a yellow flag, we'll definitely see a lot of pit stops well past the halfway mark, closing in on the final 100 here in just a little while. Chandler Smith running currently in that number 2 car in 7th. You see Matt Craig having a quiet but solid day last night, 1 spot short of winning his first Snowflake.
You see Buddy Shepard on your screen going another lap down, but that now puts no cars in between Ty Majeski and now Derek Thorne. Derek Thorne, last car in the lead lap on your screen, but now Jace Hansen tracking down Caden Honeycutt in 2nd. This could be different. This could be the difference here. If Jace Hansen gets the lead, that pace is going to be faster and cars are going to go laps down very quickly.
Yeah, Jace Hansen looks like Superman out there right now in the 08 car as he has come from about 20th up to 3rd, and he's not done yet. Ready to pounce on the 21 of Caden Honeycutt for 2nd.
Hansen's got to be having a time of his life as he's going to make the pass with ease on the fresh tires on Honeycutt for the runner-up spot. But Carson, oh, maybe not. Honeycutt tried to cross him under there off 4. How much fun is it when you know that you've got 4 Mr. Feelgoods in comparison to the competition?
Oh, you feel great, but at the same time, you look how slow everybody is around you. You know this is going to be you, and you're going to be the only one. So it's going to be the whole field blowing by you left and right when you're not, and that's going to be the difference. But here, I think their game, or my guess is, they get out front, they can click off guys, because of how long they've been on tires, they can lap a bunch of guys and keep themselves in a decent spot that they at least make their finish. You know, maybe they didn't think they had a shot at the Tom Dawson Trophy, but they had a shot to improve their finish here. We've seen people do it a lot in, you know, cup racing and whatnot. I know Ryan Sparks, he's done it a few times. Wave arounds, you see wave arounds just try to improve their position by, you know, trying to catch guys a lap down when they're struggling, and I think that's exactly what Jace Hansen's trying to do here.
See William Sawalich there, just wrapped up his second consecutive ARCA Menards E-Series championship, fending off Cole Raz for fourth. Now this number 62 car, it is a Rackley War Racing prepared machine. An announcement came out about a month ago that that team would be combining efforts with Kevin Harvick Incorporated, thus the number font of this number 62, similar to what you had seen on the Cars Tour and late model stock competition, as well as with a couple of super late model starts as well. Sawalich and that team representing the KHI and Rackley War efforts, running well, but under heavy pressure with a small little bit of haze of smoke, most notably in turn one.
We've seen it from a few different drivers in this race. The 62 definitely letting a little bit of smoke out, almost like it has a small oil leak on the 62 car. We've seen it from Sawalich's number 62, as well as Chandler Smith's number 2 is Raz, able to get by Cole Raz up into the number 4 position.
Yeah, really impressive by Cole Raz to be able to put this car up inside the top 5, now up to 4th. As you see William Sawalich, you know, trying to keep up with that 76, but the 76 of Cole Raz, a lot of pace, able to instantly just drive away once he gets around him.
Lap 200, if we don't get a yellow before then, that's when the next competition yellow for our 75-lap run will take place. That's easy to remember. We're just 16 laps away from that the next time they cross the line.
And to further enhance the meaning of tires, Cruz just continues to rocket his way up through the field. He's about to catch Sawalich, who is the 5th place car on the racetrack, as Buddy Shepard loses another position. And again, you said it, Carson, he wants to try to remain that first car lap down.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, Derek Thorne just went a lap down. Derek Thorne, you see the right of your screen behind the 91 and the 08 of Jace Hansen. Derek Thorne now the first car 1 lap down, but Jace Hansen reeling in 0.2 a lap better for the folks at home that don't have line timing and scoring. The time and jet ski reeling him in, and a lot of cars in front of him that could put a lap down. That's the worst news Brett Cruz could hear as he's hustling and trying to get up there to at least the 7 car, but Jace Hansen might improve that and might even get further in the field.
What a story that is, watching Derek Thorne, who has led so many laps in the Snowball Derby, going down a lap. Right now, Derek Thorne running in 17th. Hayden Plybon, the last car on the lead lap, running in 16th. Brent Cruz is going to keep pedaling for the next 13 laps, trying to be that first driver 1 lap down, but he's got a long way to go.
Really impressive the time of jet ski, not to just get, you know, Jace Hansen clearly faster, but not insanely amount of faster. That shows how good this car is, and he's put 2.5 seconds on the Caden Honeycutt 21 machine, and that I think shows how good. It's what we saw early in the race. The last bit of the run, that 91 just scoots ahead.
Jace Hansen, Colorado native, in his 4th Snowball Derby attempt. His best finish here was 8th back in 2022. What it would mean for this driver and organization should they perfect the strategy this afternoon, as he is beginning to apply some pressure to that of Majeski. Again, the 08 car of Hansen on fresher tires, and we can expect the caution to come about 10 laps from now should the race stay green, as Hansen is there.
Yeah, one thing I didn't mention earlier, I honestly, now thinking of it, Jace Hansen tail end of lead lap before he put on tires. Honestly, it's a little, I'm a big Lions fan. Dan Campbell, if you're not going to be good on defense, let's be good on offense. Put tires on just to guarantee themselves that they're not going to be going a lap down. You see Derek Thorne, obviously really strong as Jace Hansen, now new leader of the Snowball Derby.
Well, he went for it on 4th down, and he made the move in turn 1 and 2. Jace Hansen out front. 109 laps to go. At some point in this race, he's going to be on older tires, but right now, he has come through the field leading the way.
And how about the crew cheering him on there as they are leading the Snowball Derby? And we've talked about it several times. There's been a lot of relationships between that of longtime Snowball Derby competitor Preston Peltier, who's been helping this team, driver, and organization. And Hansen is in command of this race.
Hayden Plybon, we talked about him earlier in the show. It's the 55 car on the left of your screen. Dylan Fetchel already multiple laps down. That's the 89. Jace Hansen catching Hayden Plybon. Obviously, he wants to stay on the lead lap, but he's in a really good spot to be one down, or the first car one down for the Lucky Dog spot. But Hayden Plybon trying his best so he can line up with the lead lap cars and keep that car in striking distance when it comes later in the race. And guys, this is for 16ths, only 16 guys on the lead lap as Jace Hansen reels in that 55 of Hayden Plybon.
Dylan Feccio going a third lap down for Plybon. He's the last car on the lead lap. Jace Hansen is there trying to get him. I think he will be able to do it in the next 5 laps. But you know, Plybon, a talented racer from the upper Northwest, up on the wheel trying to stay ahead, has got a tough task. But if he does get past, just drop in line and hope for the best.
There's never been a bigger Hayden Plybon fan than Derek Thorne, hoping he could stay in front, because Derek Thorne would be the lucky dog rewarded, but unfortunately not good enough. Jace Hansen just too good with those fresh rubbers. Hayden Plybon now one down, sets his sights on the next one. That's Dawson Sutton. Not going to be anywhere close as we're getting close towards our competition yellow.
Here's a battle for position. This now just outside the top 5. Here's Sammy Smith trying to get up to and around Chandler Smith. Matter of fact, this is for 8. Sammy in the 8 car, Chandler in the 2. And Sammy Smith's trying to put himself in prime position with the controlled caution coming up. I'm not sure that Chandler's going to mind all that much losing that position, because when they double up for the restart, he will have that inside line if he stays in 9th position when the yellow falls 2 laps from now.
I don't think he minds that position, but I think he minds that every time we see that 2 car, it's at the beginning of the run. And when we're last seeing him, he's getting past late in the run. That 2 car seems to struggle really, really late in these runs. And it's just a struggle. We kind of see it from all the Donnie Wilson cars a little bit. 28 car was their best bet. Lost him, obviously, but that 2 car seems to struggle only late in the run.
You mentioned the 28 of Cole Butcher right now still on the racetrack, but running a couple of laps off the pace in 22nd. They were able to make repairs to the car, get him out there, but he finds himself mired deep in the pack.
So Jace Hansen out in front of Ty Majeski. After charging his way up through the field, he's going to have about an 1/8 of a second lead as he concludes lap number 200 of the Snowball Derby. 1/3 of the distance to go, and the caution flag will wave for the 7th time this afternoon. 2nd time we've seen it for the competition caution, and Jace Hansen is in control. We'll step aside momentarily, and we will be back to cover the controlled pit stops. Less than 100 laps to go in the Derby. We'll be back to Pensacola right after this.
Second round of pit stops for super late models in the 57th Snowball Derby. Everybody on pit road right now taking 4 new tires and making some changes. Chase Hansen is the leader of this race, and a Cinderella story in the making here. This driver out of Colorado won a bunch of races out west, but leading the Snowball Derby now. I spoke to Preston Peltier, who built this race car. It's a one-of-a-kind, a brand new race car coming into this weekend. No changes whatsoever on Jace Hansen's machine. That's how good this race car is right now. Just 4 new tires, fill it up with fuel, and nothing else for Jace Hansen. Jim Trado?
Race leader Caden Honeycutt, we talked to his crew chief about not making changes. They're now making 2 changes to the left front and the right rear when it comes to suspension changes. Tire pressure adjustments as well for the driver that wants to get better, because Hansen and Majeski both got by him in that long run. Other updates on this end of pit road forthcoming, but his Hamke chassis running well. Now they're going to put new tires on this car. Again, they have just 3 sets playing. This is the second fresh set going on since the start of the race.
Thanks, gentlemen. And you see the work continuing down here on what is our 7th caution of the race. Stephen Nassi's team now going to attend to that damage after they stayed out on the last yellow. We talked about the right side of that car being a little bit bucked up after one of the restart stack-ups that didn't draw yellow, and they elected to stay out on the caution between that moment and now.
Carson, we got a little more word from the Jace Hansen situation. Remember when he was about to go a lap down earlier and he was struggling after he was moving forward? Now we know why he was struggling during that earlier run.
Yeah, he didn't put tires on. We thought he had used a set. Now he's used another set. Obviously, we saw him blow through the field to get to the lead. They're smarter than I thought. Like, honestly, like, we did not see the game plan there. We obviously missed it, and able to have another set there that he's square even. Everybody now has 1 set. We were confused why he was taking tires. Why take your last set with 100-something to go? Well, now it's very limited. Bob Dillner, you were looking at the Bubba Pollard machine. Let's go to a Joe's Racing Pit report.
Yeah, Bubba Pollard still fighting a tight condition, but look at the rear window brace on this 26 machine. The middle one has come loose on Bubba Pollard's machine. So just a note here as we have cars pulling off of pit road here. Bubba Pollard still right there in the mix of this race, 205 laps in.
Thanks, Bob. Now, that was a story of something that was indicated during some of the practice sessions, and I believe it did draw the ire of officials, and there was a little bit of a verbal warning handed off to that team about how it could affect the car down the straightaway. That's something we may have to keep an eye on here as this race continues to unfold.
Right here coming up. Outside.
Less than 100 to go.
All right, work your way to the front.
Teams with still another set of tires left in the pits.
So Pollard are going to rejoin the field. Again, these controlled cautions, you're not able to gain or lose spots in the pit lane. You rejoin where you were running when you came down. Second time that we've seen a controlled caution where the entire field has come down the pit lane, either for tires or adjustments, with Bubba Pollard getting back out on the race car. Racetrack. One driver who had a very close call to start this race survived that, now has a very fast race car. Cole Raz, it's Jim Trado with a Joe's Racing Products pit update.
Yeah, Eric Brennan, think about this. He started 19th at Cole Raz, and I thought, hey, maybe they went off sequence because they had that early issue. Well, I came down here during that green flag run. I thought maybe they got their second set already. The pace he had running top 5 in the last 45, 50 laps. No, he had 8 laying. Crew Chief Jeff Jefferson in this Port City chassis, that car is turning. All they did was change the right rear air pressure, change 4 tires, and because it's 64 degrees and a little bit of windy here, Jeff Jefferson said, why don't we put more tape on the nose? It's a 6-inch opening, and mandatorily they have to have 3 inches of that covered. That doesn't say you can't cover more, but they had 3 inches have to be covered. So they were going to maybe put more tape on. They did not, but just a tire pressure change for Cole Raz. The driver said, hey, I don't know what else to change. I think we're right where we need to be right now.
The driver out of Lake Oswego, Oregon, is doing tremendous in that number 76 entry. Made the show last year for his first Snowball Derby appearance. Got a top 20. Got a really quick car right now. Another Joe's Racing Products update from Bob Dillner.
The secret sauce right now, maybe, for Jace Hansen, this guy right here, Preston Peltier, a former Snowball Derby pole sitter. A car of your design. A lot of pressure on you, I'm sure, for this one. How good is it, and why didn't you change anything, Preston?
We didn't change anything but 4 tires and fuel, man. This new P1 chassis is really good. You know, these guys had a doubt in their mind that they belong here, and I'm telling you right now, that's a statement. They belong here. This is where I belong, and I'm actually enjoying being on this other side of the steering wheel.
How good is Jace Hansen for those that don't know him?
He's very talented, very smooth behind the wheel. Like, you would never know by our practice or anything like that. He's just kind of a dark horse, and I think hopefully we can pull this off for these guys.
Hey guys, the one thing that Jace told me is he's raced with Preston. He knows how good he is, and now he's got Preston Peltier on his side.
Thanks, Bob. One of the biggest moments for Jace Hansen's career came back in 2023, picking up a big win in an SRL race at Colorado National Speedway after the untimely and unexpected loss of his brother. He said that was one of the biggest moments of his career. I'm sure that if he could hang on to win the Tom Dawson Trophy, this would certainly be right up there with those crowning achievements for that Colorado native, as we saw Derek Thorne on the pit lane with the hood up.
Yeah. 4 laps down now is Derek Thorne. Problems and crew working underneath the hood. Not going to happen for, yet again, Derek Thorne here at the Snowball Derby.
Yeah, it looks similar towards the power plant or something of that nature they were working on. Unfortunate, but Derek Thorne not going to be able to repeat the magic. Didn't look like he had the car to do it anyways, but not going to give himself a shot late in the race, whether it's or anything. But Jace Hansen proving that you don't need the fastest race car to give yourself the best opportunity. But with them getting clean air and knowing what they got, I think they know exactly what they're going to do. As we're going to head it down real quick for Jim Trado for another Joe's Racing pit product.
Just talking to Cole Butcher's crew chief on sus, I said, did something break in the right rear? He said, no, we just had that flat tire. Now, when they stopped, they had to take a 2-lap penalty. They have won that back, so Butcher's not done yet. It's going forward.
Butcher trying to come back to the field as we are back underway. Jace Hansen on a level playing field now with Ty Majeski battling for the lead off 2. 92 laps to go in the Derby, and they're still wheel to wheel in turn 3 for the lead.
Derek Thorne snuck back out on the racetrack, might be coming back to the pits. Leading the lap will be Ty Majeski. Did they make this car better on the short run? Will he be able to exit stage right and leave the field? Jace Hansen hanging on in second.
Jace Hansen did everything he could, drove the car deeper than I'm sure he has all week. Cole Raz now working the top, pinning the 21 of Honeycutt behind Jace Hansen. This is the first time Jace has been up here on fresh equal tires, but the same thing with Cole Raz. And Cole Raz, I think, has a little bit better race car, even on the short run, than we were getting ready to give him credit for.
And Honeycutt is fully aware of the fact that that 08 car may not have the same exact pace that Honeycutt has displayed with Majeski at the front of the field. Raz trying to use that 08 car potentially as a pick, but now Hansen's got the car rolling as Honeycutt surges forward in the center of the corner.
Yeah, now we get to see how good the 08 car really is. We saw him on fresher rubber for that whole last run, and he was able to quickly work his way through the field and take the lead. Right now, it's holding its own. It's not as good as Majeski at this point. They may have adjusted for that short run. Here it's side by side between Sawalich in the 62 and Raz in the 76. For 4th.
Yeah, Cole Raz went from quick change of play from offense to defense now, as he's now under pressure here shortly by Matt Craig. Cole Raz had some pace, but I think we were talking about earlier, Majeski and Honeycutt, how important that position was. Majeski was able to have front row sake and get around Jace Hansen right away. Honeycutt now under pressure. Jace Hansen making this a lot more difficult than maybe we anticipated.
The problem for Honeycutt is that Ty Majeski has already opened up a 1-second advantage ahead of this battle. How patient is Honeycutt going to be, knowing that he has got to dig deep to battle it out with Majeski for the race lead? But the 08 car stands in his way as he lost a little bit of ground there on that end of the racetrack.
Hansen's car is strong on equal tires with his competition. He's holding off the 21 of Honeycutt. In fact, putting a couple of car lengths on him back a little further in the field. The 2 of Chandler Smith running in the 8th spot. Bubba Pollard right beside him. Stephen Nasse joining the battle. They've repaired the front end of his race car.
As he tried to make a late dive to Bubba Pollard, you see these 3 guys. We always see all 3 of these guys the last few years been key players for the win, and normally seeing them 1, 3 or some sort of that nature. Now seeing them 7, 8, 9. These guys trying to work on their race car. They're going to have one more chance to work on their cars. Nasse able to fix his race car, get it up to going, but now under pressure now from Gio Ruggiero off turn number 2.
Jim Trano told us they had to do some repairs on the front end of Gio Ruggiero's car. You see the black tape on the white number 22 of Ruggiero as Nasse has gone up and cracked the top end. again after sustaining damage earlier in the event. Not quite the blaze of fire trail that he cut up through the field in the Snowflake last night, but Nassi still working his way up towards the front as Ruggiero holds down the final spot in the top 10 under fire from Sammy Smith in the 8 car.
Yeah, Sammy Smith has fallen outside of the top 10. We saw him just outside of the top 5 a little bit ago, so not going in the right direction right now is Sammy Smith, and I don't believe Bubba Pollard is either. Stephen Nassi looks to be a little bit faster at this point. Last night from 24th to 1st to win his first Snowflake, looking for his first Derby, trying to become the first driver to sweep the weekend of Flake and Derby. Nassi's got his work cut out for him, especially with Majeski, who's laying down some great laps at the front of the field. He has a 1.7 second lead.
Watching Bubba Pollard hard at work trying to fend off Nassi. Ironic these two would find each other yet again. They almost came together in a similar way as they did a year ago right there on the approach to turn 1. But Nassi backed out of it and remains about 2 car lengths off of the back bumper of Bubba Pollard as we ride with Nassi trying to chase down the 26.
What do you see right here, Carson, when you see these two rivals battling here at the tail end of the top 10? Both cars look to be pretty equal speed-wise. Nassi maybe a little better in and in the middle, and then Pollard's exit seems to be a little better.
Yeah, Bubba Pollard always really good center off, really easy down in. Nassi maybe a little bit more aggressive, but honestly, I think these drivers are both frustrated. They both only care to win these races. They only care to come win this race. It's only on their mind. So when you find your neighbor or your frenemy or whatever you want to label these two, rival, whatever, when they're both frustrated, that's really where that spark can ride. Where either one don't want to be patient, especially when they're around each other.
You see Pollard takes a little higher entry in. That's probably what helps his exit off the corner, able to get into the throttle a little earlier. Pollard's made 17 starts now in the Derby. Nassi's made 14 starts in the Derby. These two drivers have started this race more than anyone else in it. They're two of the most talented super late model drivers in the country. They've won just about everything but the Snowball Derby.
Got a big moment there for Pollard coming off turn 2. You saw Hardy was working on the wheel there to keep that car down to the bottom as Nassi closes back up. Less than 75 laps to go. Ty Majeski out in front by about 2 seconds, and the report down trackside from the pit lane is that Bubba's car is starting to really tighten up right now, and that's allowing Nassi to close.
Might be why he's taking that higher entry in, trying to sweep it across the bottom, widen his corner out a little bit instead of trying to pinch it. If it is not turning well, Nassi looking for the opportunity to pounce. He was fighting tight conditions earlier as well, and that's what Anthony Campi and the team was working on for the 51 car. We watch back in the field because right now Ty Majeski has built up at the front of the field a 2.3 second lead.
Yeah, almost the biggest advantage we've seen since, especially early in the race. But yeah, you heard about Bubba Pollard being tight. The track has not gotten any hotter. It has not gotten any sunnier, and the track is just getting darker for lack of grip and rubber, which is going to make it tighter. As Nassi's going to try to make a charge to the inside, similar to what you were saying, Eric, from a year ago. But now this is the battle for 8.
And Pollard's going to give him room there on the inside. Nassi now into turn 3 will take the spot away, move Stephen Nassi up to 8th. Pollard tries to get back to him if he could there in the middle of the corner. And we see that car struggle a little bit on corner exit as Nassi takes over the spot.
We watch the onboard with Bubba Pollard, and you can see he's putting a lot of wheel in it. There's hardly ever a jerk back to the right where it's a little bit free. It's all turning to the left, trying to keep it on the bottom. Bubba Pollard in a tight condition.
Yeah, with how low you want to be entry and exit, it rewards being loose, because when you're on that line, that yellow line, it adds grip, it tightens you up, it really gets you going, and it gets that left rear some drive, and it keeps your car security and adds a little bit of wedge to it, and it able to be an adjustment. It is really hard here to make an adjustment to get that thing de-wedged, to get it turning, especially when you snap free. Now you're tight with no drive off.
Not a lot of changes in track conditions, as they just tell us in our area. The track temperature right now hasn't really shifted more than a degree. It's been very stable and consistent track conditions for these race teams as we see the battle for fourth position continue to materialize. And as we look at Ty Majeski on the left, this battle for fourth on the right, how about Jace Hansen holding on to that second spot on the equal footing with the competition around him? He's actually pulled away from Caden Honeycutt, and this battle for fourth on the right side of your picture, Hansen is doing a great job as Cole Raz looks to the bottom on Sawalich.
Yeah, really impressive. Two underdogs here, Jace Hansen and Cole Raz, now running second and fourth. Really impressive, but I think most impressive of Jace Hansen, we heard it from Preston Beltier, a driver in his own, but a hell of an innovator. I think he's writing a book, as I've heard multiple times, and that book's the rule book. He is constantly adapting and overcoming, but they made no adjustments. They felt good about their race car, but at the same time, they didn't get equal playing field. I think that's smart, knowing they got another adjustment later in the wing to be able to give that a go, but know what they have straight back to back it, running second, maybe an adjustment away from getting that Tom Dawson trophy.
Stephen Nasse lurking just outside of the top 5. Makes the move on Matt Craig. Those two drivers battled for first and second last night in the Snowflake. They were both looking for their first flake win. They're both looking for their first Derby win. And Stephen Nasse at about the right time in this race, moving forward just one spot out of the top 5.
Yeah, best we've seen Nasse, I think, all day. Got his damage repaired, got a few adjustments going. Now looking good. We see super low on exit. That car's got a lot of drive in it and able to wrap really low. I think that's going to pay dividends as we're on board Stephen Nasse, watching him work that wheel as we're waiting to see not a lot of turn. We watched Bubba Pollard really yank on the wheel. Nasse, a lot of corrections, very small but very minimal, making a little bit of a brake bias adjustment, probably towards the front as you're watching him barely have to turn the wheel on entry, knowing that he's going to be adjusting that probably to the front so he can use a little bit more brake, keep the car from turning too much and over rotating as this run progresses, because it's only going to get worse. If you're a little free and now 20 laps, 10 laps, 15 laps, whatever it takes, that free it's going to be more noticeable because the pace is going to back down, your front's going to load more, and the more you lift off the throttle, that more that transition and the more that thing's going to rotate.
It's crazy seeing the difference on how they're handling the wheel. Nasse back and forth, which means it's fairly neutral, I would say, especially compared to Bubba Pollard, who was just cranking it left all the way through the turn.
And that thing's really strong, running really, really fast lap times. The fastest car on the racetrack currently is 17.97 to the leaders 08, and all the cars in front of him running 1s and 2s. The strongest car on the racetrack, the only one that's been able to run inside the 17 seconds the last few laps, really strong, and it's that roll speed. Roll speed is what matters the most because you have that roll. You're a little free when it's uncomfortable. You're able to have that self-driving adjustment of that yellow line, and we're going to talk about it all day for the last 57 laps of just being disciplined to that yellow line, and the easiest way to do it is when the car turns down there and wants to be there.
Ty Majeski continues to be out in front of the field by 2 3/4 seconds, and we watch the team pace back and forth, unsure as to how the final 55 laps of this race are going to go. When Majeski comes back around as he goes to the inside of Brett Cruz, who's showing a little bit more evidence of another fender rub on the left front of that 24 car. We'll keep an eye on that as Majeski continues to set sail.
I feel like Majeski, probably one of the best drivers in this field at giving feedback to his crew. And he's giving feedback to a crew who is probably one of the best crew chiefs in all of short track racing, in Toby Noodleman. I think the right feedback was given. The right adjustments were made. He's dominant right now. He's up to a 2.67 lead over Jace Hansen in second. They're going to have one more pit stop. These guys are all going to come in and take tires. See if anybody makes an adjustment to get up there and compete with him. But Stephen Nasse, here he goes for the number 5 spot.
Yeah, he's starting to really make a charge here. That car turning the best. I think we've seen it all night. One of the fastest cars still consistently, but I think you saw Toby Noodleman pacing. I don't know if he's got a good poker face or not. For me, I don't think it's all sunshines and rainbows over there riding off in the distance as it looks, because they know they have an adjustment, but they've done this. They've done this in this race of not adjusted and then watch the 21 drive around them and go away. You saw the 08 on, tire strategy, drive around them. There's not going to be really any strategy left, but they've seen the lead go away in different ways. Self-inflicted what they could have done for strategy and self-inflicted what they could have done adjustments. So it ain't over yet. I know Toby Noodleman right now is stressing because he has in his hands one of the best race cars in the business and one of the best race drivers in the business at their favorite racetrack or one of their favorite racetracks for the most prestigious race, and he's got it in his hands to make the adjustments so Ty Majeski can do his job.
What I love about this race today, Eric, is the differences we have in the top 5. Majeski and Nassi, no surprises there. But second, third, and fourth, Eric, guys that maybe we wouldn't expect to see in the top 5 at the Derby today.
Yeah, and right now the battle for third is starting to ratchet up, and there's another car that's coming fast in Stephen Nassi. This is Honeycutt in third position, Cole Raz just behind him. They're not that far off of Jace Hansen, who holds down the runner-up position for the moment. But what an effort by that of Cole Raz and company after they've been methodically working on this race car. Started back in 19th position, did that of Cole Raz, and he's trying to give it to the driver who started outside of the front row and Caden Honeycutt for the final spot on the podium with less than 50 laps to go.
A lap ago, saw Stephen Nassi was the fastest car on the racetrack. He and Ty Majeski were in the ones a lap ago. Majeski very consistent, though. He's done it a few laps in a row. In fact, that lap was quicker than his last 2. These drivers using some old tires. 30 laps now away from a competition yellow. If we don't have one before then, we're inside the last 50 of this race. Crews down there thinking about how they're going to do the last pit stop, what they're going to adjust. Obviously, tires will be going on, and that will make all the cars feel better at that point.
You saw Caden Honeycutt's crew chief on the right side talking to his guys, talking about tire pressures, I'm sure, and adjustments, what they're going to do, trying to organize it, coming close on a pit stop time of when it's going to matter the most. They got to be able to put the tires, get the fuel, and get all the right adjustments in and go the right way on the adjustments. How many times have you heard they go the wrong way, or they do something, or they missed it, or didn't have enough time? That can make the difference when you are trying to get the Tom Dawson Trophy.
Well, we watch Honeycutt catch up on the back end of Cruz. Cole Raz running in the 4th position, while the race leader in Ty Majeski is starting to catch the tail end of the field. He just went around Dylan Feccio. He's closing up on the 4th car of Luke Fenhaus.
Luke Fenhaus, good qualifying effort. Not a great run today in the race. He backpedaled a little bit. Luke Fenhaus currently 15th. A little bit off of what we expected today for the driver of the number 4. 3.6, the lead right now. 3.6 seconds for Ty Majeski over Jace Hansen. Caden Honeycutt, Cole Raz, Stephen Nassi rounding out the top 5. Nassi was the quickest the last time by the line. They're in the 18 ones right now as the pace has slowed as the tires continue to age.
And the pace is also slowed for a car that was on the move, albeit in terms of lap times, but not in terms of differential. Here comes Stephen Nassi. We talk about Nassi and Bubba Pollard and their relationship with this race and this place. The difference between the two is that Nassi has crossed the finish line first in a Snowball Derby before. He talked about it very openly on our Drive to the Derby coverage. What was a long-form interview that he did with Rob Blount, and he said he could not believe the effects of what happened at the tech shed, but it motivated him more than ever. Equally, he had a similar situation happen in the Snowflake 100 the year later. He got redemption for that race last night, and he's looking for redemption for the 2019 Derby, and he is cutting his way up to the front.
These positions are really important for Nassi to get because Ty Majeski's not going to have that long of a run to be able to fire off and get away and be able to get ran back down. Stephen Nassi, if he's going to do it, he's got to do it from the first 2 rows, in my opinion. He's not going to be able to do it from 3rd row back without some help from a yellow or some kind. Maybe an issue of some kind. There's a lot of movement for the AC 81 camp with maybe an issue kind of off the pace, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, he started to fade back. He's lost a couple of car lengths. He's feeling that he has a flat tire. It's still up to speed somewhat, but he feels like the pressure is going down in one of the tires. He's still fairly up to speed, but his run toward Raz has dropped off a bit.
You saw the reaction from the crew in real time. The Anthony Campy Racing team working alongside with Nassi after a big bobble off of turn 4, but he has now kept pace with that of Cole Raz, and they are looking closely at the car as it comes down the front straightaway that time by.
You see the frustration and the intensity. They're counting down the clock because they have a bell that could save them with the caution. Anthony Campy, I guarantee he's staying out on the racetrack until that thing it makes him stop. But Anthony Campy worried now with this AC 81 car that this is now a worry for them.
what's ironic about it, if it's not a tire and it happens to be something else, because he's actually closed the gap a little bit the last couple of laps on Cole Raz after he was starting to fade, is sort of kind of stagnated a little bit here as he was making his move and potentially going to get up into third or fourth. So whatever it was, doesn't seem to be that bad right now. They're keeping their fingers crossed for the next 17 laps.
This is what the intensity does of the Snowball Derby. When you're doing everything right and the car's doing anything, I'm not going to say you sometimes talk yourself into an issue, but when you have so many things happen for Stephen Nasse, sometimes you can create something, right? Some sort of small feel, some sort of small anything different. You are worried about it, and it could be something as smallest leak. All of a sudden the car is completely destroyed because the right front tire feels like it's going to come off. Something of that nature. When you're so calculated and so smart and so much experience and so much pressure on this, you can talk yourself into a problem on Stephen Nasse. So right now, until that thing is on the rim, it's just worry and go forward, and I think that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think he maybe a false alarm. He's closed the gap again on Cole Raz. And we are 14 laps away from a competition yellow.
And we did see Nasse reach up and play with the switches on the left side of that car. Wonder if he's trying to counteract what he started to feel with the car, maybe turning off a couple of the blowers if at all possible to see what he could do to get that car back to the pace it displayed before the initial panic moment for that team, as he has closed right back in on Cole Raz. Plybon just in front of him in the 55 is a lap down, and here is Nasse all over the back end of the 76 trying to get up to fourth.
This spot could be for the Snowball Derby. There's not going to be many laps left at all. You hear the spotter communication. There's not going to be many laps left. It's going to be a short run. You're going to have to be in the first two rows to even get a shot at Ty Majeski. So this move could give Stephen Nasse a shot at the Tom Dawson Trophy and Ty Majeski.
I think it would prefer to be in the third position for that restart. This would give him outside of row number 2, makes the move around Plybon.
In trouble, Noah Gregson spins off turn 4, and that will draw the caution that Nasse and company were looking for.
Noah Gregson goes around, brings out the yellow. 28 laps to go. We will see most likely our final pit stops this afternoon. The final fresh tires put on these rides, and the shootout to the checkered flag in the 57th running of the Snowball Derby.
Essentially the last chance for the race teams to make adjustments and bolt on the set of Hoosier rubbers they were saving in the pits, as Gregson looks for clear room to get that car righted. Majeski, Hansen, Honeycutt, Raz, and Nasse are top 5. And this is the point of the race where all of the hard work, all of the preparation, all of the levels of preparedness and game plans that these teams and drivers have orchestrated are going to be put to the ultimate test to see who will win the Snowball Derby in 2024.
26 laps to go. The Nasse situation was strange. Here's a look at the replay of the Gregson deal.
He was running 13th at the time, right in front of your leader. I believe that was the 33, Dustin Smith, who was running 14th, battling for the last car, on the lead lap, potentially racing for the lucky dog. This is your opportunity to try and stay on the lead lap right before the last pit stop. Unfortunately, Noah Gregson just kind of getting ran over on exit, and unfortunately, it took him so long to get spun back around. Now 2, maybe 3 laps down, gonna take him right out of the Derby.
Rolling under yellow. Ty Majeski so strong on that green flag run. I don't foresee many changes on the Majeski car now. It was so good on that run.
We said that earlier, though, and all of a sudden the 21 showed up to play. The 08 hasn't made any adjustments on their stuff. We'll see what they got.
Cars working their way on the pit lane, just like what we've seen pretty much all day long. Just about everybody is going to come down. Brent Cruz, Jake Finch, a couple of other cars maybe thinking about staying out. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products pit update from Bob Dillon.
Last time down for Ty Majeski, it was an air pressure adjustment. This time, just like the first time, Adam Mackey hit the nail on the head. No adjustments whatsoever to this Ty Majeski team. It'll just be 4 tires and some fuel. That is it. Majeski says this car is really good. And honestly, guys, throughout the entire run, Toby Noodleman told me he didn't speak at all until the caution came out. Ty Majeski very happy with this race car, Jim Trado.
Yeah, the team for the number 21 of Caden Honeycutt was given hand notes by the crew chief. Not a lot of on radio discussion to decipher, but they went to the air pressure gauge to the last possible second. Keep in mind with this 25-lap dash, tire pressures usually are increased because of the shorter run. So Honeycutt and this team trying to get the tire pressures right for the shorter run and adding some tape across the nose as well. It's down to 63 degrees, guys. The wind is stopped, but these cooler temperatures allow them to tape off the nose for a little bit better aero.
Anthony Campy told me they thought they had a tire going down on the Stephen Nasse number 51 machine, but really no major adjustments to this race car. Nasse likes it for the first time today. It still is a little bit tight, so maybe a minor air pressure adjustment is what they were talking about, but this team is very happy with this 51 car at this point of the game. Stephen Nasse's got a shot at the Snowball Derby.
Cole Raz has his car down here under the direction of Jeff Jefferson. This is the Northwestern United States super team when it comes to late models. Raz is on pit road. Jeff Jefferson directing from the pit box. He is telling them to make a left front suspension change, air pressure adjustment. They talked about taping the nose a little bit more, just cleaning the grill right now. So Raz, out of Oregon, this 21-year-old, has a really good piece. They talked about controlling the restart. They're already thinking about what needs to come as they roll their last set of Hoosier tires.
Chase Hansen down here, and the team has just changed 4 tires. A slight air pressure adjustment. Peltier torquing the lug nuts on this 08 car. Again, this is a wild ride for Chase Hansen here today. His best shot for sure. Had a huge super late model win, but really no complaints for Chase Hansen on this 08.
A lot of work, not a lot of time to get it done as all the cars start to return to the racetrack. 25 laps to go in the 57th annual Snowball Derby. The Tom Dawson Trophy and the $50,000 check on the line. We'll come back for the restart right after this. Field is doubling up. We are about a lap and a half away from the restart for the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports. The biggest short track race of the year is going to come down to a Saturday night short track style shootout. Before we get the one to go signal, we'll throw it down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Bob Dillner.
For Chase Hansen, it has been the ride of his life. His crew chief Preston Peltier making a last minute change on that pit stop. Said the car was a little bit tight. let's make an adjustment. Let's put a spring rubber in that right rear. He's hoping that change propels Chase Hansen to the win here today.
Well, gentlemen, I don't know about you two, but I could certainly feel the energy at an all-time high that it's been here all week long. This is where everything is going to be laid on the line. Ty Majeski trying to win his third Snowball Derby. Chase Hansen trying to play the role of the spoiler, along with Caden Honeycutt, who has led laps today. Cole Razin fourth. Stephen Nasse, your top 5.
Yeah, right here in your top 6. Only one of them has gone to Snowball Victory Lane with the Tom Dawson Trophy. 22 to go. Coming to 21, Ty Majeski leads us to the green.
Honeycutt follows, looks to the inside, contact between the top 2. Majeski will save. Honeycutt to the lead on the exit of 2.
Honeycutt with the restart of the race. Majeski goes to give it back. Something we've seen with Chandler Smith and Derek Thorne. Now here in 2024, Caden Honeycutt now back on the offense into 1.
And Honeycutt was trying to shut the door before Nasse got there. Nasse gets jacked up by Hansen. Honeycutt back to the rear bumper of Majeski and to the inside for the lead in 3.
Battle for the lead, battle for third. Nasse up the track, back for the 3rd spot. Majeski trying to give just enough room for Honeycutt, trying to keep him slowed down as well. New leader in turn 2. Honeycutt takes it back.
It's a 2-horse pony show at the dog races right now. Down the back straightaway, Caden Honeycutt trying to make it 1, into 3. The biggest gap we've seen in the last 2 laps. Honeycutt off of 4 for the Snowball Derby with 18 to go. You see the crew on the right side, Chad Bryant, JC on side, all of them instantly watching their race car driver want to roll off into the distance. We saw this earlier in the race.
The gloves are certainly off, and it is Honeycutt now who has control of this race, with Majeski trying to chase him back down. Caden Honeycutt just turned the fastest lap of the race with 17 laps to go.
They are up on the wheel right now, and he better be. Ty Majeski, looking for his 3rd Derby win, is in 2nd, and he's fallen back a few car lengths. The action still continuing on back in the field. Running the 54 and 5th is Matt Craig. He's trying to hold off a hungry pack of challengers.
Another 10th towards Caden Honeycutt's advantage. Stephen Nasse, also one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Really good on the short run. You're watching the battle for 5th through 9th right now. Aggressive, maybe makes the difference of the Snowball Derby caution. Caden Honeycutt right now, all windshield right now, as he's leading the Snowball Derby with 15 to go.
Might be one of the first times we haven't seen William Sawalich in the 62 into the top 5. In fact, it looks like he rubbed the Hoosier lettering off the right front of that car, and some restart contact fresh off the pit lane. Sawalich 6th, Ruggiero behind him. Here is the pair of Smiths going at it. Chandler Smith in a 2 car, inside of Sammy Smith in the 8 off of turn number 2. This for 8th spot.
Meanwhile, as they battle side by side, Caden Honeycutt and Ty Majeski pulling away, turning very equal laps that time by. Honeycutt 2/100ths of a second better, very equal times for the top 2, but the separation is about 6 car lengths.
Back up front, your top 3. These are the factors. These are the players we're going to see with 13, now 12 to go. Caden Honeycutt, will be the longest 12 laps of his life. Looking for the biggest win of his career, has grinded, has struggled at this racetrack. He's had highs and lows, but nothing higher than leading the Snowball Derby with 11 to go.
Nasse is closing the gap on Majeski right now. Majeski, that last green flag run was so good. So was Nasse, and they may have adjusted a little more on Nasse. He is closing quickly for the number 2 position.
Should this race stay green, Nasse's going to have to make this pass really quickly. We'll see how patient he's willing to be. 10 laps to go in the Derby. Nasse all over Majeski for 2nd, while Honeycutt continues to try to maintain about an 1/8 of a second advantage over this battle.
Catching Majeski is going to be one thing. His car is still pretty good. Passing him is going to be another. Nasse gets down to the flat on the track. That car really could turn in turn 4. He's to the bottom. He gives him room, does Majeski, for 2nd place.
Majeski about to lose something. We've never seen him so far today. Outside the top 2, Stephen Nasse all over the wheel. We see him in the camera to your right. Now watching the crew root on their driver, wanting to chase him down with 8 to go.
Barring a caution, it could end up being a mano-a-mano fight amongst the 21 of Honeycutt, the 51 of Nassi, as the crew has cheered him on to the runner-up spot. 1.3 seconds was the margin last time by. Nassi trying to turn on the afterburners. 7 to go. We'll check the gap here as they come to the stripe, and it's down to 1.2 seconds. He got a 10th, but he needs more.
It's a sizable lead with only 7 laps to go, and they're all on fresh tires. Caden Honeycutt holding a pretty wheel at the front of the field. Nassi was 1/10 quicker last time by. This time, what will the gap of 1.2 go to as they cross the stripe? 0.2 of a second. He has taken off. A near accident would have brought out a yellow. Nassi's closing the gap with 6 to go. Big smoke on the 54 of Craig.
Intensity's up all over the field for spots instantly. Another 10th to Nassi. Last lap by. Now going to watch a second difference. Now 9/10. Anthony Campi, you see, frustrated of some kind, probably hoping on a yellow or something, but a lot of speed, but a lot of intensity, a lot of emotion with the Snowball Derby with less than 5 to go.
Caden Honeycutt already knows what his plans are for 2025. Carson, you already alluded to it as Campi continues to cheer on Nassi. That time around 0.8 of a second the gap before Honeycutt embarks on his first full-time foray in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He wants to take the Tom Dawson Trophy and 50 grand along with him. 3 to go.
He's closing the gap by about a 10th a lap, but he's running out of laps. He's down to 3 is Nassi. That time he took 2/10 off of it. It's 0.6 of a second. Honeycutt just has to be smooth. Barring a big mistake, I think he's on his way to a Derby victory.
2 laps to go for Caden Honeycutt. That time, Nassi much quicker. It's down to 0.4 of a second. Honeycutt is going to have to be perfect in the final stretch to what would be the biggest win of his career, with the most determined driver in the field trying to get there.
Nobody using the seat they paid for. Everybody standing up, including the crew on the right side. Adam, to you.
Honeycutt with a 2-car length lead. Nassi closes. Will he have enough room to make the contact down in turn 3 to try to move him over? Makes a hard run into the corner, comes up short off of turn 4. Career victory for Caden Honeycutt. The Snowball Derby is his.
First time ever a driver from the state of Texas has won the Snowball Derby. And look at the crew celebrating the effort for Caden Honeycutt after Stephen Nassi gave it everything in the final turn.
Unbelievable. Nassi needed 1 more lap, came up just a couple of feet short in turn number 3. Caden Honeycutt pulls it off. An upset victory, we would consider this. It's not Majeski, it's not Thorne, it's not Pollard, it's not Nassi, it is Caden Honeycutt with an impressive run in the 21. What is that, 4 now winners in a row coming from the outside pole in the Snowball Derby?
Yeah, it's, as you said many a times, 2005, the last time a pole winner won it. What does it mean to win the Snowball Derby? Look at it right there. Caden Honeycutt said he was saving the best for last in what was his 4th and final race here on the weekend, and he wasn't lying to us.
So much emotion for Caden Honeycutt watching this, watching his crew, the intensity, but it goes back to that restart. He absolutely nailed it through the restart box. He was basically picking up the tires, pushing the 91 across, went down into turn 1, made a little bit of contact, and able to make it matter when it counted most. And obviously, a really, really stellar job, and especially clicking off the laps. 100 slower. Stephen Nassi's to that back bumper entering 3 with a white flag, knowing how much it means to Nassi. Who knows what could have happened?
That just lined up perfectly for Caden Honeycutt, and he used his aggressiveness on the final restart to do what not many people can do, beat Ty Majeski. Such a good wheelman is Ty Majeski, but this guy here, Caden Honeycutt, turned heads all weekend long. He started on preview day where he was fast in multiple cars.
Honeycutt soaking in the moment here as he's getting set to climb out of the car. And you can see all the emotion and energy has just about caught up to him here in this moment as he is getting set to climb out of his race-winning car as a Snowball Derby winner in 2024. $50,000 and the Tom Dawson Trophy going his way.
We saw the emotion for the victory, and we just saw the emotion of defeat. Time at jet ski, Stephen Nasse, probably with the run of his life late in that race. We talked about how important I think it would have been to be on the second row, and he almost had enough time coming from the third row. That Stephen Nasse, so close, but just needed a little bit of more time.
My gosh, what a race over the final 30 laps or so, that final restart. It got crazy up in the top 5, and that's why the Snowball Derby is such a popular race. 57 years of it, and Caden Honeycutt claims his first career victory.
A little bit of setup and preparedness for a celebration of this magnitude. Look at the masses of people that have come out here, many of which fans who parked in the infield to cheer this driver on. He's out of the car. We'll go down to Jim Trado in victory lane.
A dream come true for Caden Honeycutt. The 21-year-old gets the job done in the biggest super late model race in America. This team fought the fight here today. They get doused with some water in victory lane. Caden Honeycutt, I remember when you came here as a kid out of Texas to run this track for the first time. I know how much this place means to you. How much does this victory mean today?
Man, it means more than just me winning. This one's for Jeff Sandlin. Golly, he worked so damn hard for me to race for Pat and Larry. And this was the year, and we had it done. And unfortunately, he passed away, and he wasn't here to watch. But he was here watching from a better place, man. I just want to thank Larry and Pat for the opportunity, man. I wouldn't be here without them. Thank you for badass fans out there. Thank you guys. I never really have many fans, so it's good to hear that you guys are cheering for me. I appreciate it. But yeah, well, thanks Cook Electric, Campy Race Cars, LBM, Jeff Sandlin, Ernest Performance, Peters Racing Engines, man, just everybody that helps Larry and Pat on this deal. And damn it, man, I can't believe it. I've never won a super late model race until today. So yeah, I threw up a little bit, but it was just from me being excited, not for me worn out. But man, just unbelievable, Bob. I can't believe it.
That's okay. It's pure emotion here today, dude. You had Stephen Nasse right there coming really hard at the end of this race to try to catch you. How aware were you?
Yeah, Platt was telling me 2 back, hard, tight. I was like, oh, shoot. I better throttle up here. So I basically did a burnout from all the way off forward to the checker to make sure I got it. But, man, Stephen had an opportunity to go and do something historic and go back-to-back from last night. And I just appreciate him racing me clean. You know, not many guys do that for the win nowadays. So props to him, props to everybody for a good race today. We had a pretty clean race today. So, man, I can't believe it. I was kind of worried on Saturday doing our runs, and JC kept me calm, cool, and collected, and he told us we were good. And also want to thank Weeder for all he's done for me to the end of this year in this pro late model deal and helping us out last night. And every single one of these guys, they work their damn asses off, and it takes a lot to win the Derby.
Let's talk about this team. You have a lot of giant teams down here. Larry and Pat, they've been doing this for a really